Okay, so we're live again with Shrine of the Sun and Moon, and we're all melting right now because it's so damn hot. But to keep us together and recap for last week, I'm gonna chuck it over to Jamie.
Me? I'm
Yeah.
doing it? Okay.
I mean, no.
Or I can go if you want.
So,
And Jamie is gonna chuck it over to James.
last session, the other group found their way through their extremely hard entrance puzzle to the Temple of the Sun and Moon and found themselves in a set of rooms full of mirrors, of which Kashan instantly broke one of them, as per Kashan, and managed to deceive the sigil leaf that they brought with them. And as they were trying to figure out this puzzle, they turned a mirror which set light bouncing to a couple of the shrubberies which grew in size, including Irina, who was now a sigil leaf, and all of them became large leafy beings. The shrubberies then attacked and got dealt with by many attacks, including fire, which also set light to Irina with her own attack. And then they went around the room looking for whatever they could find to figure out this puzzle, found a few tunnels and entranceways. On our side, we entered the moon side of the temple, trekking in dirt, which brought upon the cleaning robot, which explains why the room was so clean. Instantly, some of us hid. I prestidigitated myself and then hid, which sent the cleaning robot over towards the watery, muddy mess that was on the floor. That was my elemental, water elemental. And battle ensued. A few harsh attacks were thrown at each other, and we disposed of that. And then we tried to figure out why there was 4 places to put these orbs we'd collected last session, but we only had 3. And then went on to proceed down the only corridor that we had, while keeping an eye on a giant robot up in the corner of the room. And I think that covers everything.
Yeah, we decided to go down this corridor because there were supposed to be rusties down here, which we know to be magic items.
That too. But it was also our only corridor to go down, really.
Yeah.
Okay. With that then, we're gonna jump back in with the group in the sun side of things. So they've been turning and trying out different mirrors for some time now. The last time we left off, they'd uncovered another chamber. It looks like perhaps to be the final chamber. Remember, Kashan was going around meticulously checking every single wall, and he uncovered a number of tunnels. And the last thing you guys saw was Kashan suddenly poking his head out of the wall right here, very much like a ceiling cat, and surprising the rest of you guys.
I'm guessing that happened after me and Cussy left.
Yeah.
Okay. So, no, we don't remember, but we can pretend we do.
All right. There he is, poking his head out.
Wow. I think I found something.
Oh, he's learned to disembody himself.
Disembody? No!
You're ahead.
Please tell me it's not more mirrors.
Yes.
Silence.
Well, if somebody likes their vanity, then it's the perfect place for them.
The source of mirrors.
I thought that was someone who is very insecure.
Yeah, it's probably not for something like that.
It the figures holding the statues, are they all identical or are they different? Because I'm like, if they're all the same person, perhaps this is said person.
Maybe.
They are not all the same. Some are more like female elves. Some are male elves.
Okay,
There
so it's not a
are,
particular person just worshipping themselves.
no.
Okay, so I'm going to try and figure out this puzzle. Ah, yes, I have figured it out. So,
That was quick.
so I think, I've been looking at it and we came up with something. So I think the way that it's supposed to go is the light is meant to be traveling down this corridor down here. Oh, I'm just going to get off the floor. There we go. So, do you have your jingle plate ready?
She gets it out. Yes.
And I'm just going to kind of walk over to Andy and kind of like pick her up. And I'm going to plonk Andy down where the mirror was. I'm just going to be there.
She's just looking at you baffled, just like, okay.
And now, Irina, I'm going to need your help clearing away any of the shrubbery, because the last thing that we want is to have another hulking mound of leaves come at us.
Okay, I pull out a sickle and I start like greenhouse cutting.
Yeah.
everything.
So try and do it respectfully, so if they're potted, let's just move them
If
to
I
one
wasn't
side.
being respectful, I'd have just set the whole place on fire.
This is true.
This is my way of being respectful.
Okay, so I just kind of say to Andy, stay there, be a good shiny. Yeah. Well, I'd like to see you steal yourself.
Now that is a challenge.
Just like
I don't
chasing an
understand.
invisible tail.
See, when you said I'd like to see you steal yourself, I literally thought you meant like the metal steel, like to make her more shiny. And then I
Huh.
realized, and I was like, wait,
That would be intriguing.
Brain.
And yeah, so we'll go around and kind of like, if it can be moved, move it. If it's kind of overhanging, just kind of shave it back a bit. Just so the line is going to be clear, so you can literally see mirror to mirror. And I will begin moving the mirrors.
Absolutely.
do the main one last, so no light
Yeah.
actually reflects until they're all set up.
Oh yeah, we're going to be
Yes,
working backwards. So
I do wonder if I could fire off like an Eldritch Blast and it might bounce off the mirrors, but I'm also worried it's going to smash it, so I'm not going to try that. Because then we could see the pathway potentially.
I would rather not have that fired at me if I am acting as a mirror.
Can you do it? Spells with light, or
I have lots of fire spells.
I'm just wondering if you can do like
oh god, I need
a
to.
minor illusion of some light or something, and maybe that will reflect. I don't know. I'm not sure, because then we can actually see if the path of light traveling is correct, rather than just
I mean, maybe.
doing it and everything going horribly wrong.
What if I was good enough with a bow and I could shoot an arrow and it would bounce off all the mirrors in the right way?
That would be so cool.
Potentially use one of your stars to do it.
Yeah, but that uses a lot though. The arrows are more expensive.
I can't move it down. Okay, so it bounces through there, goes through there, and then hits that. James, does that look right?
I will say the only thing is that from what Chris said, I believe that this mirror is the wrong way and can't be angled, if I recall correctly. Because
That's
it's on
right.
a plinth rather than being one that could twist.
That's correct.
But the mirrors do appear to be removable, so what you could do
Oh,
is
just get rid of it.
remove that mirror and then have it reflect down to here
Yeah.
onto there and then to
Hold on, if they're removable, can't we just move that mirror
No.
to where Andy is?
The one-
yes.
or
That was what I'd suggested initially.
When we say removable, last time you literally snapped it from the pedestal because you rolled a natural one with sleight of hand. It kind of got yanked on a vine, and you tried to pull it, and the stonework ended up crumbling away as you pulled the mirror off, and then it fell to the ground after you hot potatoed it.
Yeah, don't do that again. And you should be good.
Okay, I'm just going to do that again.
We could always use
There.
my shield.
I think I got it. Okay, so this is the motion that I'm going for.
Yeah, the only bit which I would say particularly is this bit of wall here. Because I remember Chris saying something was odd about that wall, but not that there's a passage through that wall. So
Okay.
you might need to go further investigate that bit of wall.
I will go and further investigate this wall because this seems like the only place.
So the wall looks
Cough, cough.
not as new as the other. I mean, not as old rather. As most of the other kind of the surfaces are very sturdy. Although there are various cracks in the floor where trees are literally growing out of. So I guess it's kind of contradictory. But what I will say is there is a lot of cracks in this wall, but no plant actually growing through it.
Okay. I'll search for kind of like a flappy bit.
Flappy bit. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any hatches or secret like holes in this one. There's just a big old fissure kind of cracked through the stonework.
So like something was there previously and is gone now almost. So maybe there was something, but it's been removed.
Hmm,
Because you said it's cracked like something was growing there, but there's nothing there.
that's right.
So it's potentially been removed already.
Yep. But it does look like heavily broken up, crumbly,
Crumbly.
like a massive fissure all the way through it.
Okay, if I go to one side, can I see through it?
No, you don't see through the other side, but you see just as much crumbling and fissures as on the other side as well.
Can I Kiara it?
Go ahead, roll me an attack.
So I just kind of like look around the corner and just
What do you think you're doing? No, I'm joking.
stop! You violated.
Yeah. Just when you think like the NPC's out of range, and you're like waiting for them, kind of go out of line of sight, and then suddenly there's a guard standing right behind you, like stop right there, criminal scum. Right. But in this case, there is an almighty crash as you hear Kishan punch through a wall. Your fist impacts solid rock and shatters it like, well, like paper mache. Irina suddenly shows up.
She had an explosion.
Is anyone alive?
He's got anger management issues. He punched a wall.
I tripped and fell.
Yeah, as you're like flicking your hand from like the dirt. Like,
Yeah. I tripped and fell fist first into this wall. However, is it clear now?
it does smash straight through the whole thing. Yeah, you
Perfect.
turned it to dust with that punch, and you realize for just a moment that that's what you do to people's bones when you punch them.
On to the next thing.
Irrelevant information.
Okay, so how are we doing with the clearing of shrubbery? Shrubbery.
I don't know. How are we doing with the clearing of shrubbery?
That was your job.
Yeah, that's what I was doing, but I need to know how far I've got.
All right, you tell me which ones are you getting rid of?
Well, he said to get rid of all of them, so I've just been going around
All of
clearing.
them?
Well, just the ones that are in the way of the thingy. So that one.
So the ones that are sort of in front of mirrors,
Yeah,
essentially.
the ones
Yeah, if you-
that are
You
impeding.
drag your token to each one, and then I'll just
Oh
basically
my
clear a
God.
path whichever way your
But
token's
that
going.
involves brain work. Okay, fine.
Okay, hold on.
So,
Okay, we'll do
for
it bit
that
by
one-
bit. Wait, we'll
Oh
do it
wait,
bit by
no,
bit.
I didn't want to move that. I wanted to move me. Hold on.
We'll do it bit by bit.
Let me do
Use
this.
your little arrow keys.
Okay.
That should help.
Chris,
Have a
what was
better
that?
idea. We go for this one.
I don't
This
see your
one.
token moving.
I'm not. I'm drawing over the top of the one side.
That makes it now I have to delete 2 things. So all right,
Um,
3 things, 4 things. There we go. How much scribbling did you do?
I don't know.
Steph, I was going to say if we just clear the ones that we need to, so
It was in front of a mirror, so like I don't know which ones we do or don't need. I can't see.
that's why I was going. Oh, you can't see the map.
No, I can see the map, but there's nothing on the map to tell me which ones are in the way.
That's what I was gonna say. So I can draw this, and can you see this?
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you follow, oh, okay, James is doing it. No, he's not. Oh, it
I
was
wasn't.
Okay, right.
I'm
Let's
just
go.
gonna sit here until you're done. and
Jamie,
you just tell
Jamie,
me.
stop. Jamie. There we go. Right. Okay. So you see this one here. Clear that one.
Okay, so as you come around to this corridor, there are a bunch of leaves on the floor. They don't really look like they're in the way though.
Okay. So
Irrelevant. Like if they're leaves, I'm moving them because if the light hits them, angry plant thing.
Don't move me.
Tough.
So it's the leaves. Okay. Alright, where do you want to move them to? You gotta sweep them up.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of stick them in a dark corner.
That's mean to the leaves.
I'll
And-
put them back afterwards. It's just for precaution.
And I think that's impossible in the Temple of the Sun.
All leaves.
Fine, I'll incinerate them. Would that make you happy?
No.
Right, then dark corner it is.
Slightly dingy.
I can't even find a dark corner in this map.
Okay. So are there any?
You could put them here. That wouldn't be in the way of any of the mirrors.
Alright, okay.
Or here.
That's true. I put them in the dark corner. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what's next?
So what about this one in front of the main mirror?
Oh, okay. So those were on top of the mirror, and they've been pulled off and kind of left on the floor.
Cool.
Yeah,
so,
I'm literally gonna like take off my coat, put it on the floor, and like gather all the leaves in it, and then just take them all to the dark corner in one trip, basically. So
Andy's just kind of like watching you guys from her little plinth and just like,
is
that's what
this
she's been told to do. She's a mirror.
is this one in the way? Yeah, there we go.
Alright.
And this one.
It's easy to say ones are moving, but
I would say that this tree is definitely in the way.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a tree. It's wait, which one?
This one.
This tree.
Oh yeah. So you come round to this one and you realise it's very much in the way, Irina. But it's not leaves that you could fit into your coat. They look like big gnarled roots that stretch across the doorway. Funny you mentioned Eldritch Blast.
why is it funny that I mentioned Eldritch Blast?
Because you think to yourself,
Oh, I can make a hole through the tree.
there you go.
But then that's a bad idea because if the light hits that tree, that's a terrible
Right.
idea.
Yeah. Just shave it down a bit.
Revenge. Yeah, it's massive, it's gnarled, it doesn't look like it's budging anytime soon. But
hmm.
how are you going to get rid of...
Just do what you did then and just move it.
Yes, please, James.
This is some moss on the floor. I don't know whether you're going to Roomba that.
Roomba. What is a Roomba?
I'm gonna look around and make sure. Oh no, he can read my thoughts, can't he? Because we're one. Crap, that's not gonna work.
It does look old and dead, this tree. It doesn't have any leaves on it.
Well, whatever you.
Can I give it a kick? Is it hollow?
You give it a solid thump. It does sort of shake the tree a bit. You don't seem to hear like a hollow thunk, but it's kind of like old and gnarled regardless. It's not hollowed out though.
I don't really have much choice. Okay.
But I did say
Yeah.
if you can move it, move it. If you can't, cut it back.
But it's a huge tree.
You just really need to set it ablaze enough so that it weakens him down.
Yeah, but why? Oh, right. Yeah, mouse. No. Can I use like my Eldritch Blast instead of like blasting it, like almost like making a drill, and just make the whole big?
A drill?
An eldritch drill.
Because I don't want to fire off something, have it go through the other side and smash the other mirror.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, we don't want to smash mirrors now.
Yeah, that would give you bad luck.
Who would smash a mirror? Oh god, yeah, I just remembered. Kashan, you've basically lost 7 lives, I think, from that.
Yeah.
Because it's that or I burn it down.
Yeah,
Just get rid of it.
Eldritch
Just get rid
Blast
of it.
is normally kind of expended as a...
Fine, create bonfire at the base of it. I'm out of ideas.
Sweet. And
Alright, so you create a bonfire, it starts burning up. The
Is that
mirror
roasting
not being made of
marshmallows?
anything, like... Not being made of anything flammable, doesn't seem to catch a light, thankfully. But everyone does start to see smoke filling up the hallway. And yeah, you can smell it, Andy. And then you see the sigil leaf come over and you're burning our kind once again.
our kind.
Are we having s'mores?
This one's life is spent in the dark. It's dying anyway. I'm going to release it from this horrible tomb.
I see.
Shifty eyes.
It has become wayward.
Indeed.
Let us hope that our own never lose sight of the light. Kind of looks at you.
It is grown so that it's blocking the light. It has grown too big for its roots.
Hmm. Let us pray
Tacklo.
that our
Tacklo's
own
going to
does not
poke up
come
as
through.
well.
All right, having burnt this thing down to nothing more than
Mhm.
ash, you've cleared up this hallway.
I'm actually going to gather some of the ash and stick it in my pocket, actually. Just for
Okay.
later.
Sure. And as you look around to the other side, there is a patch of moss that's kind of grown over this wall,
Okay.
and there are a load of vines that have entangled this statue.
Yep.
Cool.
I shall take down the vines.
Sorry
How
about
big
that,
is this
guys.
pile of moss?
It's as big as you see it there, about 8 foot.
Okay, I'm gonna essentially make a snowman out of it, so I'm gonna ball it up and then just roll it out of the way.
Okay. All right, I rolled it.
Yeah, and just stick it somewhere. Heck, I'll take the vines off as well and wrap that around it, so it's like a
Okay. Roll me a
decorative
sleight,
piece.
roll me a sleight of hand,
Sleight of hand.
because the vines do go through the wall, and last time
12.
that's not a 1. So you untangle the vines. They're not as knotted as what the ones Kashan were dealing with. but they are attached to the wall. But you can simply pull them off the statue and then sort of drape them much more neatly down the.
I've made like a moss snowman, and I'm gonna use the vines as like a scarf, and gonna find some bits from like the tree to get eyes and stick arms.
Sure. All right.
Kashan's just gonna be in the center, like, man, it's taking a lot of time, Irene.
I'm destroying, but I'm also creating to keep the balance.
Okay. I'll go up here and start on the ones in here.
To be honest, I think only the bouquet of flowers and this bit here, and then maybe this. And then this. Or is that the one you already killed?
Those are the ones we killed.
Also, I see these mirrors moving magically by themselves. I don't know. Are you actually moving, Kishan?
I would have started moving them. Yeah.
But
Okay.
not the last one, basically.
Yeah.
Not the
Don't
last
do it.
mirror.
Don't do it. Don't touch it.
Okay. As in the first one.
This one
Yeah.
in the
So
middle,
the main
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We're moving
alright
all
then.
but that one.
That spoils all the fun. All right, so Irene, you make sure the whole way is clear. Bouquet of flowers, yeah, that was in the way.
It ruins the fun. You had your fun. 2 of them, to be exact.
Not enough. All right, there's a load of leaves blocking up this tunnel, and it's like ivy.
Well, you know what.
I'm literally going to start building like a second one out of all the rest of the scraps, and then I'm going to give it the bouquet so that they're like having their own little sort of plant wedding.
All right. Yeah, it looks like, unless you see anything, looks like you moved everything out of the way.
Sweet. Is this one overhanging?
Which one? Move your token to it.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm
yeah,
upside
that's
down. Currently.
absolutely overhanging.
So I'll just kind of cut away the center of it. Just get my sickle. Just
Screams bloody murder as you
screams.
take it.
No, not all of it. Not all of it. Just the low hanging ones that are kind of like mirror level.
Okay, all right. You try to like tuck it up behind the beams.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
Don't make me feel guilty for doing the right thing.
All right.
This one needs to turn that way. Okay,
See,
right. Let's take a
moving them
look.
a very awkward.
Okay.
The mirror should be in the center of whatever is bouncing the light.
No, you. Okay. So let's
mention
do a
useful.
quick test
Hold
run
down the
of
Alt
this.
key.
Are you just gonna run around and bounce along the mirrors?
Yeah, this is
Boing,
Kushan.
boing, boing, boing,
In
boing.
fact, hold on, I can do it this way.
Just don't accidentally smash anything.
Okay, right. Da, 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 da. Oh, can somebody turn that lower right one?
This one, I believe, is the one you mean. So to like
Yep, that's the one. Da,
there.
da,
What
da.
What are you doing with this
Duh.
one?
No. Oh, Chris, can you ping the center of the map? You moved me. There we go. Okay. Sorry for everyone at home who's currently getting motion sickness from me moving my
Oh, so
screen.
you're trying to draw it with an arrow, aren't you?
Yeah. We're going to remove it through means.
Remove what?
The lower right
This
mirror.
mirror.
Yeah, that one.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No, this one. Right.
Okay, prepare for the
So, Arena,
release.
you come over to the one Kashan is pointing at and look for a way to remove it. It seems like the mirror is fixed into the stone at the top of the pedestal.
I'm not gonna remove it. What I'll do instead is oh dear God.
Did you get all that?
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do instead is I'm just gonna take my traveler's coat and stick that over it
Okay.
and cover as much as I can with that.
Sure.
And hopefully it's not blocking the path entirely.
Is it blocking the
Yeah,
path
it
entirely?
is.
Oh, it actually needs to be gone.
Yeah, as you.
Right, you
Kishan
never
comes
you never
over.
said that. You just said remove it, so I assumed that meant like you need to use like you have to be very clear with me today.
Yeah.
Okay, Kishan. So you see, what do you try instead? As captain.
Just kind of like edging it off the edge.
Yes, who would thought channeling your inner cat is basically how you solve this puzzle? Just knock it off the pedestal. Sure. You're gonna have to roll me a strength check if you want to literally break it off. But I will say that there are like tiny little hinges,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's potentially that the mirror could be like undone from the frame.
Okay.
You need someone who's proficient with like thieves' tools.
We could try that. I wonder if we have any. I think the only person who was proficient in thieves' tools was Carius. How could we be so silly?
Really glum over
if-
it. You just
Only we had somebody who was proficient with thieves' tools.
It's my turn. I'll go over to Andy. I'll pick her up and I'll carry her over and plonk her.
I'm just getting carried everywhere. This is amazing.
You are now
Alright.
thieves' tools.
Which is just as well.
Okay.
Andy.
You're not a
Okay.
mirror anymore. You are thieves' tools.
As you see Irina like picking you up, they are walking across broken glass, so it's probably good that you are being carried around. The frame of the mirror looks like it could potentially be like undone, and you pull out a few tools that can unwind some screws and such, and eventually you do pry the mirror very carefully with a steady hand from the frame without busting or breaking anything. And yeah, you've got another mirror now that the one over here was broken from.
Can I just go over and pick up some of those mirror shards and pocket them?
Yes,
I mean,
Because you said they're still on the floor, so I'm just gonna.
they are.
we
Take
have a
one of
full mirror.
No, but I just want the shards. I don't want the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a token. All right.
Cool.
So Andy carefully waddles over to the next pedestal, sits up, and waits for the light.
Okay. I think everybody should probably get into the center, aside from our dearest mirror.
She's holding the mirror up in front of her face so she doesn't get blinded.
Oh yeah.
I'll just move this now. So it's not there. Oops. There it is. Got it. Okay.
She needs Raven sunshades.
And just as Kashan lowers it, he says, "And the Lord said, let there be illuminations." And I
Where did
will...
you hear that rubbish?
I don't know, some madman.
Alright. And by literally, vroom, it goes. We're gonna make that.
We did it!
This light beams downward into the bottom mirror,
So cool.
bounces out through the little hallway, under the archway, through where there once were creatures. Bounce, 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 ping pongs around there, through the broken, crumbled wall, around, bounces off this mirror, which you originally had the wrong way, bounces past the fake mirrors into the room. It's like a little laser light show.
Oh no!
Oh my god,
And then
that's so
finally-
satisfying.
It disappears out of behind. Yeah, he's in the way.
Yeah. That's why I was going. Oh no!
Oh god. He grows into twice the size.
Oh my god.
Why do I imagine that like a little pop and little things go...
Yeah.
I'll get out of your way, though. You do see the light bounce off round that mirror out of sight. You wait a moment, and then suddenly, through this little tunnel, it suddenly surrounds you in this sort of cerebral embrace of light, and as it bounces all the way around, finally hits the final mirror, the one that's kind of got this ivy design around the frame, and then that light that's being emitted is so bright, it flies through these, through these tunnels. I don't know whether you can see that, but they seem to like actually enhance the light as well as it goes through each ring. And the light is so bright where the tunnel leads, that you can hardly make out what's down there. But you can see it's fully illuminated, too much illumination, in fact. It's just blindingly bright down that tunnel now.
Okay. We did it! We are so smart.
Now
Right.
what?
Well, I didn't really think this far, if I'm honest. However, it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey. And I'm just going to be like, okay, right. I'm going to try and just prop this up. Just
Okay.
kind of stand it up.
Give me another sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand.
Oh no. Oh no.
Great.
Good. What's the possibility that you roll another one on the
23.
Alright, nice.
Don't tempt fate, Chris.
Yes, please stop.
So you use probably a bit of like a portion of the moss snowman, and maybe like take the head off, and then you just sit it down behind the mirror, and it seems to rest easy.
No, I take the full snowman, so it's not so he's
But you
all in
separated
one
him.
place.
There's two of them. You've separated them on their wedding day. How dare you?
I'll have the other one kind of like stood right next to it, just like looking up in awe. I'll even get 2 branches so it has like that.
Okay, I'm happy now. That's fine. You can do that.
Okay,
Now there
right.
will be a new legend around the little moss people.
Chris is making us big.
Okay. Well, as you go by,
I haven't stepped into the light yet. Oh wait, yeah, maybe no.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Because I was thinking as soon as I step into it, yes, I'm gonna get massive. So.
And he steps
I like-
into it like, oh.
Oh. Chris,
What was that?
stop.
there was nothing.
We moved all the plants. You cannot.
Or did you?
It was the ghost of missed opportunities.
Dear. It was
I'll let you
indeed
guys go first, so I'm not blocking the tunnels.
merely a phantom. Alright. Irina does suddenly enlarge as they come into this hallway. There's no way of avoiding the light. He's simply just surrounded by it. The sigil leaf also follows up the way, kind of thumping with his footsteps and leading down the corridor all the way. You keep going and going until you see a chamber up ahead. And before you enter it, we'll jump to the others.
Ba-la-la-la.
Alright. Ta-da. Good job. Alright. Mooney boys.
Yep.
Let's go get
Right.
some rusties. Let's go get some rusties.
You see, like, definitely Rip Dip's getting into it. Okay.
Hey.
Karis is just like, oh god, why did I travel with these ones? I just sort of look at Suna and I'm like, do you really have to pull up with this guy? I mean, come on.
Yes, I long for freedom.
Don't we all, my friend? Don't we all?
Release me. Okay.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
You say that every time. Now,
Every time. I've only summoned you this once. this
shush
is the-
you.
This
Once
the
is too
first-
many times. All right. So, heading down, there is a change in scenery as it goes from this very perfect, polished, almost ceremonial looking design to everything with the shapes of the moon, kind of grey texture of the floor, and the smooth marble, and it gives way to much more practical and mechanical parts. You see that there are cogs lining several walls. There is the floor now. It's just got kind of like completely transformed as well into, yeah, I guess metal grating and mechanical parts. You have no idea what they could possibly be for. But as you're coming into this next chamber up ahead, you do start to see like workbenches, tools, crates, and this looks much more like a workshop than it does a shrine.
I would like.
Nothing is turning or moving right now. There's no sounds coming from the chamber ahead. It's all still. But it seems like Rip Dib recognizes the place. Like,
Does it-
in here. This is where I found some of the rusties. Lots of bits and doodads.
Does it look like there's any potential threat in here or traps?
Yeah, we can roll me a perception check. And Carius as well. Why not?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that the noise the Rusties make?
Hmm. Okay. Carius, you're probably distracted by Riptiv's never-ending song. Though, Llewellyn, you're turning around, trying to like assess your surroundings. And as you turn your back to something, your book notifies you. It says, "There, another one of those creatures." And you do indeed see another similar contraption to the one you met outside. It is a four-legged mechanical crab-like creature with two pincers for lifting and managing things. And they, you know that they are hefty arms as well. They can lift up huge blocks and even toss them. And on top of it is this bucket made of wood.
Does
It
it-
is currently empty, but the other weird thing is there's a slight shimmer to the area just in front of it, and
Like the
it's sort of sat
force field?
in the middle. I'm going to say it's sort of sat about 30 foot away from you, and there's a slight shimmer just in front of that. Like you can see a barrier. Like it looks maybe like glass, but as you focus more on it, there's sort of a magical shimmer.
Does it look like the normal shimmer that we see from the ones outside that we fought?
Are you talking about? Is it got like a shield or something?
Yeah, in the same sort of way as the ones outside.
No, it doesn't. This is more like a flat plane, and it seems to, as you follow with your eyes, it seems to go from edge of the room to ceiling to floor. Like it
So-
encompasses an entire flat plane all the way across.
Does the thing inside look like it's
It-
moving?
It sits unmoving with its crab-like arms ready.
Maybe this is where we find the last orb we need.
It's certainly possible. I mean,
It looks exactly, well, almost exactly the same as the ones we fought outside. Maybe this one is to be powered by one of those orbs.
so did you say it's in like a slight little side chamber with this thing in front?
No,
almost?
this thing's in the main chamber. If anything, it leads on further, and you can see it's sort of centered in the middle of the room. Not like the actual middle, but like center to you guys. Tell you what, I'll try and find a quick map. But
Is there a way?
effectively, it's got a massive chamber that it looks like it leads to on the other side and another tunnel.
So you said this was like a workshop. Is there like a way around the barrier? Is
There
it-
does not appear to be, no. But as you're looking around, you do spot one particular bench has what looks to be a load of cogs, buttons, and levers on it that are like actually fixed into the workbench. They don't look like tools. They look like some sort of control mechanisms.
So there's potential. So this is blocking our path from going any further. Then.
Mm.
So
The chamber beyond is filled with more heavy-looking machinery, and you can see parts of the same sort of similar creature, either hanging from the walls, laying across workbenches. Bits are dangling from chains. It looks like maybe this is some sort of construction or assembly line. And there are like different plates across the floor, all the way leading to. There's like a set of pillars, and then there's like so many things to like to describe in this room. But the chamber is huge.
So there's two things I can potentially suggest about maybe getting around this, but I don't know if it would work for you, Carius. Maybe you could do your teleporting thing.
I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but just before we decide exactly what we're going to do, Rip Dip, you've been here before, right?
Oh, yes.
Is that normally there?
That thing. We've seen lots of them before. I can't tell if it's one special one, but some of them don't move. Some are like just bits of them.
Do you want to give it a swipe?
I can give it a shot.
I meant Rip Dip with his claws. Maybe he can.
Ah.
And if not, then maybe you can get over to those buttons and tinker with them.
Yeah, he kind of goes over to the workbench with all the levers and such. He like presses down on one. Some seems to do nothing. Grabs a
Wait.
hold of a lever and sort of jostles it back and forth like
Oh,
it's a toy.
it's on our side.
Yeah.
I thought it was on the opposite side of the barrier, and we had to get to the.
No, that's
Okay.
well. As you look for a lever or something on the other side, there is one of those similar workbenches, but it is way over on the other side of the chamber, like leading perhaps to a doorway. But it looks like one of those vault doors that
Oh,
you guys have already uncovered and unopened before.
okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, that's
should,
all right. There's two of them though. There is
should
one
we-
on your side and one on the other side.
should we have a look at this worktop full of buttons and levers? See if we can find a way of disabling this barrier.
Well,
I'm pretty sure just flicking a lever
Yeah.
up and down like Grip Dip is doing won't quite hack it.
what if, and this is just kind of new to the whole, some of this magic stuff, but these orbs and stuff we've been finding, they kind of have like magic power, right? That's how they power these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, considering everything's quiet here and not moving, is it possible that maybe there's no magic power flowing through it at the moment?
Like it might be coming from the room behind us.
Maybe.
Like it should be coming from the room behind us.
Possibly, but I'm wondering if maybe this thing, this wall is, if it's this creature pulling it up rather than, or this machine.
If
So I'm
it's
wondering if it might be worth doing a sort of like detect magic thing to see if we can see where the source of this wall's coming from, and it might give some more information.
I could do that.
Either
Yeah.
that, or I'm just going to try to blast straight through it. That's kind of more my thing, but
Well, again, the blasting through it is probably not the best option. If anything's going to happen in terms of this, it should be Rip Dip swiping at it with his destructive claws.
right.
But yeah, sure, I'll take 10 minutes and.
I will also take 10 minutes and do that because I can.
Oh,
So if we both do it, we can sort of have a look round between us and probably
Is your
help.
comprehend languages still up, Llewellyn?
Yeah, I was about to say if you're gonna do it, then I'll do the
Yep.
You will need to
Telepathic.
keep that continuously up if you want to understand
Oh, the
Rip
telepathic bond thing.
that one
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
I'll do the telepathic blonde. You do the
Yep.
Okay.
detect magic.
Cool. And your
I'm detect magic
your
for my
comprehend language
ritual.
lasts at least an hour, doesn't it?
What, sorry?
How long does comprehend languages last?
The telepathic bond is an hour. Yeah.
No, your comprehend languages.
Comprehend languages.
We've
Yeah,
not been using comprehend languages. We've been using telepathic
I
bond.
know, but I know, but you cast it last session.
Did we?
No.
Llewellyn did, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been
understand
to
the symbol.
communicate with.
I don't even-
Oh yeah.
I don't even have comprehend language. Oh, it's a ritual as well.
Oh, to understand the symbols. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, if you do that, and maybe there's some instructions on the
You don't
table.
have comprehend languages, but I thought you read the Gnomish last session.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That was 2 sessions
He,
ago.
he has it as a ritual. He doesn't have it prepared, but because he's a wizard, he doesn't need it prepared.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, it's,
And,
it's, it's,
the original question was how long does that last? An hour, yeah?
it's an hour. Yeah.
Okay, so you've still got it up actually from when you opened the door. In which case, you'd understand a lot of the symbols and such on the control panel. One lever says left, another lever says right, another one says forward, another one says backwards.
I will point this out. That
And
seems a bit
yeah.
strange.
What if,
If I-
you try backwards? Maybe it'll make the thing move back, giving us way in.
And there's also a sign along the wall
Okay.
that you now understand. Well, you should have understood when you walked in, but there is a sign that says forged from moonrock and specially designed, the heart of a hero, but lacking a mind. He seeks to help, but the machine protests. Give him some help and pass this test. One last thing, and it may seem cruel. There is no use of magic, only these tools. And the tools are quite numerous. I'll just copy and paste this after I've said it, but
Yeah.
there is a slight dim glow from silvery lights, like the one in the other chamber, but they're very dim. But the tools on the other side of this barrier, where the bucket crab thing is, are there's metal panels. There is a large bladed fan on wheels. There's a crowbar, hammer, 4 wagon wheels. There's 100 foot of rope, 4 metal buckets, a set of forge tongs, large glowing ruby, 5 torches, 3 pairs of rubber gloves, a large crystal that's just sparkling slightly. There's a small silvery key on one of the tables, a large gold key, a small metal like scorpion, like another mechanical one, but much smaller. There's a large pile of coal, a massive bag of salt, a stack of 6 tablecloths, 10 lab coats. They're roughly gnome sized. There is also a furnace mounted on the wall, a sink, an anvil, a few chests for storage, and large 2 wooden cabinets.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
Relay all this.
And I'll copy paste it all. So you
Do
can see.
we
Yeah.
need to fix the machine somehow?
Well, Bunty's copy pasted it so I can read it. But whilst he's doing that, Karis is gonna think on the words, and then he's just gonna be the sort of foolhardy guy he is, and he's just gonna walk up to the barrier and see if his hand will go through it.
You go up to it, place your hand through, and instead hits a solid pane of glass. And you've completed your detect magic, and you now realize this is abundantly glowing with abjuration magic.
However, there is wagon wheels, so there's a snack on the other side.
And a cornetto.
I got it.
Packet of
Right.
walkers and a cornetto.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh God. Okay, so we got a large.
Should we?
And what was the warning thing? The on the wall.
That
The
magic.
warning said
Well-
that up ahead, this assembly line seems to be some sort of test, and he needs help because he has a heart of a hero but lacks a mind. And it does say that there seems to be no use of magic, only the tools in order to complete said task.
But how do we get in to fix it
Without
Um,
magic.
without magic? Yeah.
As the Bozo is fiddling around with levers and such, he finally pulls one which actually does something, or presses a button rather that does something, and you see it. One of the buttons lights up with a dull silvery glow, and at the same time you see the crab-like bot sort of jitter, like,
Don't. Okay.
and you see a very faint glow coming from the mechanical
Wait.
creature in its front.
That's the startup button, I believe.
Wait, I think we don't have to get over there.
Well, we have.
We have to control it to do the job. So it has the heart of a hero. We're its mind.
Okay, I need to read that back. No, I've only got the item ingredients. I need the phrase again.
The heart of a hero, but lacking a mind, he seeks to help, but the machines protest. Give him some help and pass the test. Okay, so literally, I think we have to control him in order to solve this.
But control him to do what then? What's the test? I thought it was to fix him, but if he's already operational at our control, then what are we getting him to do?
You see a long, huge chamber ahead of you, an assembly line, if you will. And at the very end, like I mentioned, there is another control panel with a lever and a vault door on the other side.
Maybe we have to get him to somehow start up the assembly line. Because it said the machines protest, so maybe they're not working, so we have to get those machines working using him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Right. Can I go over to the thing and try and work out to control the thing to move towards the assembly line then?
Yes, you can. And it does seem like it has, like, the levers do correspond to movement controls for this thing. And there are two, like, joysticks as well. And it says left claw, right claw on it as well.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So we
Watch me make it do the Hadouken.
move him over to the assembly line then.
Okay, you try to move it forward, and it kind of sputters to life. Like, it seems very, almost a bit rusty. And you see Red getting excited. Yeah, rusty, gonna get some rusty. And you start to see him maneuver very kind of like jittery. Doesn't look as smooth moving as the other, but then it had much more of a glow than the others. Sorry, yeah, than this one rather, because this one's very dim. It looks like it's perhaps still on its last legs. And as you're moving it forward, you see the first of many things start to operate. So, 10 feet in front of the golem, a metal bar suddenly rises up out of the floor, and you hear cogs turning in the walls, It's like and everything around the room starts to animate. And as this metal bar rises up, it's about 2 foot high, and it's in the way of the golem as you're moving it forward. Its legs are going one by one.
Can we get it to lift the bar using the claw?
Lift the bar.
Yeah,
Well,
it's in
I-
bars there.
Is it more like a bar, like you know, almost like in like a car park where it's like one of those that comes straight up?
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah, it's like 2 foot from the ground.
Right, probably stop the robot, I guess.
Can the robot reach over towards the assembly line, I assume?
It could. It's not filled the whole room. It's only like just in front of it.
So I'll have it like move its claws over, like
Over the okay, so it grabs a hold of the bar.
not to grab the bar because it's hard to visualize it. There's an assembly line and a bar stopping it getting to it.
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah,
So-
it's just a metal bar that rose up out of the floor. It's got
And
like
all of these items we're seeing, are they before or after?
it's on that side of the. It's on the same side as the robot, with the forge,
Okay.
the tools.
So
Everything is on there. on that
So
side.
I'm thinking we have to solve a certain amount for the bar
So,
to go
A
down.
metal bar, right? Like this. Like this is a metal bar.
And it's come up then.
That's it. I don't know how else to describe it. There it is. And you
Does
got
it-
your little crab friend, and he's
So we need to get it past that bar.
right here, and he's walking towards it, and then this bar comes up right in front of it.
Does it look like it stood on anything that's caused that to go up, like a pressure plate?
Yeah, it seems like some sort of pressure plate as he walked forward. But as he done so, there's now all kinds of things up ahead. But we'll get to that when we do.
We get past the bar. Can I try and have him like move the bar by force?
Yeah, he tries to grab a hold of the bar. It seems to be firmly fixed into the ground.
Strength check.
Not quite. It seems to have a very flat strength. And if you consider that this right here is the wall, it doesn't go from wall to wall. It just goes up in the middle, you know.
If we move the robot back slightly, does it go back down?
He does go backwards, yeah. It goes dude.
How far back does he need to move before the bar goes back down? Like how much space is there
The
between?
bar stays there now.
Like
Yeah.
stairs?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got to solve something, or can it go round the bar?
Can certainly go around the bar. You want to maneuver it that way?
Yeah, so it can go round the bar.
Yep,
So this
it goes
bar. So from just
Really?
thinking of
Really?
Yes. You're overcomplicating it. Yes, it is just
Yeah.
a metal bar in the way, and all you have to do is start operating the left and right levers.
I think we're just
Yeah.
used to seeing something in front of us to visualize instead of having to.
Yeah.
for
It's-
this is
It would be even worse top down. So don't even. I'll try to get another map, but honestly, it's
Right.
much better in the theater of the mind than it is. in
okay.
real.
Let me
Then we'd see
think.
the space around the bar and we'd be like, yeah, we'll move it round.
Okay,
There is
so
space around the bar. Look at all this space right here. So much room for
yeah,
activities.
so basically, this picture we're on at the moment, that's
Yeah,
kind
I'll
of
give
the
you-
room.
Tell you what, I'll do this
Oh.
just for Jamie's sake.
No, I get it now. It's
Do you though?
I just trying to
Mhm.
visualize it.
I don't think you
I
do.
thought like it completely blocked him off. But yeah, he can go
There
around.
there are keys. Are
There are.
there any? Does there look like there's anything that those keys would go to? Can we see?
You look ahead in the assembly line, and the next obstacle is suddenly a wall of ice. Like a whole sheet of it emanates from the floor.
Can he go
Uh,
around it?
Right, 1 second.
Um,
Can,
no,
can, can you go around the sheet of ice?
no, I'm thinking of the items we have.
Doop-a-doop-a-doo. 1 second.
How big are these torches we have? Or that are in the room, or are they further on ahead?
The torches. Do you mean the small dim lights that are illuminating everything?
Well, you said there's a large glowing ruby, 5 torches, 3
Oh,
pairs
5
of
torches.
gloves.
Yes, that's right. They're not lit, but yeah, you have torches in the workbench area.
Okay, and we have a
And
fan, but we don't have a battery for it.
To be
I-
fair, we could heat something up and then melt the ice with it.
Yeah. So
Like
we've
maybe-
got a set of forge tongs, we've got the metal buckets. We've
Serious. Okay, so this guy's on one side of this huge chamber. The assembly line lies in front of him. Right now, that metal bar, I'll change my color to white, was just right here. And just stopped the way.
okay.
And that was all.
And then he's basically gone around it.
Yeah, so he just
he'd
went
be
around
like,
it.
so he'd be like,
Yep.
okay. And now there's a patch of ice in front of him. Does the
There
patch
is,
of ice cover the whole floor?
Let's have a look. Just double check. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, yes. The wall of ice seems to feel all the way across.
Okay. So you've got this thick, and it's a wall, so it's something that. Okay. The glowing ruby, does that look like it's got any heat to it?
Let's have a look. Da-da-da-da-da.
Thinking because ruby being the spell component for continual flame, and it's glowing,
Mm,
and also the ruby and Aladdin led to lava, so nice.
The ruby does not seem to give off a glow, but there is a forge that's now lit up and is burning,
Okay.
but it's not got much fuel to it by the looks. And that's on the side, like over here.
Okay.
I'm
So if we load up the forge with some of the coal,
yeah.
maybe increase the heat. Maybe if we increase the ambient heat in the room, that will be enough to melt the ice.
Yeah. How big are these panels and how big is the entrance to the furnace, the forge?
The furnace forge thing is
Yeah.
it's like off to the side behind it.
But how big is the entrance to it?
How big? Like how big? It's a
It-
furnace, so you can put
Yeah,
stuff
it's massive. It's like an assembly line furnace. It's
Okay.
made for like smelting huge bars of metal.
And how big are the panels?
You
in.
can
12
see
by
right
2
there.
feet.
Yeah, big enough to fit in there.
So can I
Just thinking, put one of those in, heat it up, and then
And then-
forge tongue next it.
yeah, just basically walk with it into the ice to melt it at super temperature to basically
Not,
make a pathway through.
not a
What
bad
else?
shout.
So that's what I'm going to control him to do. To
But I
grab.
would say we need to heat up the forge with some more coal.
Yeah, we'll do that first. We'll put coal in.
All right, so you fill up the forge with coal and it begins roaring.
Then we put one of the panels in until it goes super hot but not melts.
Checking you've got all the ingredients. Yeah, looks like it. Okay, so
Okay.
you heat up one of these panels. It starts going a red glow to
Yeah,
it.
and then takes it out with both claws, holding it up, and then I walk him over to the ice to create a path through using the heat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the ice begins to slowly melt. Takes a while, but eventually you kind of burn a hole straight on through it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Ooh. Okay. Suddenly, a trapdoor opens up that spans again the entire room, and it opens up. Ooh, hold up. Let's have a look. Yeah, you see the two front legs sort of like almost begin to fall down
Oh, bring it
as
back.
you're pushing it forward. It's still got two back legs that are like tilted onto the floor, but there's a massive trapdoor now.
Again, how big are these panels? Sorry, 12 by 2 feet each.
Yes.
They're not very big panels, are they, in terms of the 2 feet? Is that the thickness?
Yeah, that'll be a pit. And you see the little golem has accidentally tripped and he's hanging on.
So 12.
But we don't really have any way for them to fit together
have a
nicely.
Single glowing panel in your inventory.
We'd have to smelt two together.
Maybe.
Okay. I got this. I bring him back.
Okay. Stumbles all the way back to the workbench with all the tools. You see
And
that his huge empty bucket sits
And
there.
I put 2 of the panels on top of each other, inside into at one edge until it's super hot.
Mm-hmm.
I bring it back over to the anvil and place them together next to each other on the anvil, and I have it smash it together so the heat causes them to merge together.
Okay.
I used to work in I know how this works.
So you're just forging them together effectively.
Basically,
Yeah.
to make a 24 foot, and then we can have it slam it across, and it'll be able to walk across.
Sure. All right. You slam them together as best you can. The panels do work, and they're sturdy enough that the bot does make it across. So that's the panels. Cool.
2 of the
All right.
panels.
The next 10 feet of the room seems to be coated in thick acid.
Acid?
Yep.
Uh,
You see it. These little pistons shoot out and spray the floor.
Do they only spray once?
Yep. Then the pistons disappear, leaving
Right.
this big puddle of acid everywhere.
So next, going. Go on.
Well, a couple of things I was wondering is we've got these chests and these 2 large wooden cabinets.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's in them, just in case there's something else in them that might help. The only thing that's immediately coming to mind is the salt, but I don't think that will work. And the beakers, maybe. There might be something in those, because there's a lab table.
He thinks of the salt after he's gone through the ice wall.
I honestly was thinking that, but yeah.
So good. So good.
So here's what I'm thinking. We bring it back. How tall was the ice, by the way? Does it go over the robot's head?
I'm going to give you control over
Yeah.
Mr. Crab. Also, there's an input device for a name as well, you notice? Would you like to name your crab bot?
Mr. Krabs?
Mr. Krabs. Okay. All right. Mr. Krabs comes back over the panels, through the ice wall, and back to the workbench full of tools.
Yeah. So the entrance that we made, does the ice go above when he goes through? Like, is it over?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. So, using the salt, does salt melt the ice or does it disperse it?
Well, salt's what they use to grip roads, and I think it melts it.
Okay.
It does
It
melt.
helps
Yeah.
it melt.
Gonna have it grab the buckets of water and put it in the doorway, and then have him grab the salt and put it on the above the doorway to melt the water into the buckets,
Wow. Okay.
and then
Yep.
bring buckets over and use it to pour.
Yes,
acid
you
to-
absolutely can. So as you melt the ice and it becomes a salty sort of watery solution, you find that the salt also neutralizes acid. And thankfully, you didn't use the salt on the ice because, as it happens, it doesn't look like there would be enough for both the ice and the acid. So you can cross off the salt from that. You've used all of that up, but you've made it past the acid. And yeah, you see the bot safely cross over.
Slowly.
All right,
And
and it explodes. No,
What's
next thing.
next?
All right. Next is a massive set of horizontal whirling blades, and they're just swinging like. And it's actually kind of like on the map right there. So I'm just going to leave it there. There you go. This back wall, this is just a wall of the back with a huge clock on it, I'll say.
Okay, so now we've got a blade of some kind.
Yep. That's a huge fan of some. No, sorry, yeah, it's a whirling blade.
How sturdy do the chests look? Like, are they metal? Are they wood?
They are wooden. Yep. And you can see intricate elven carvings on them as well. Looks like they are of elven make. But they do seem to be empty. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna. How about we try pushing the large, because it's bigger, large wooden cabinets over there, and pushing it in front. See if it can lodge the blades in place.
that how this is going to be an interesting question. How tall is the fan? Like, it's obviously at a height where it's going to slice the robot, but is it
Yes,
like a
it
little
is.
bit off the ground?
Yes, it is slightly off the ground. Yes.
And
We'll say it's as high as the bar was, like 2 feet off the ground. It would chop its legs off.
That's. Do we have any way to control the small metal scorpion?
That's a good question. It doesn't look like it, but there does seem to be a little wind up, like clockwork winder on the back.
Okay, so that won't work for that.
So you can like wind it up and let it go, but you don't have a way to control it.
so, does the large cabinet look bigger than 2 foot wide?
It's large enough that it fits in top of the bucket. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we should try that? Maybe see if we can lodge the fan in place.
It's worth a shot.
All right.
I don't know what else we're gonna do with a large cabinet. So
Yeah.
we push it across, and we have him not go into the fan, but push it from the top, so it topples over into it.
Okay, gotcha.
You
So
try-
yeah, you topple the cabinets over on top of the fans. The wood immediately starts getting like chipped until eventually like thud, and then you hope that the cabinet holds. There's a bit of splintering of wood. It does cut through like just a single inch or two of it, and then the fan tries to spin around again, but it's lost a lot of momentum. As it comes around to chop the second time, it just like thuds into the wood. The other blade on the other side is like trying to swing at it. It's like chop, but it's dulling the blade continuously
That's
until
good.
eventually the
Yeah.
cabinet is just pushed all the way in enough that the blades kind of like jam up effectively.
Okay, so just in case this one does manage to slice and we get stuck, because we've got obviously this large storage capacity, because we're this bucket robot.
Yep, bucket grab.
I'm thinking we grab the
You could fit everything inside if you wanted.
basically just fit everything in us.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So just
Crab.
go back, grab everything, just in case we need it, and then the fan starts whirring up and we're stuck.
Got it. Clever move. All right, you fill the bucket up, and every last tool and ingredient is placed inside the bucket.
Ooh.
And you're on to the next.
Just in case, in terms of the other blades,
Yep.
in case it does manage to spin around a little bit more and get through, can we have it wrap the coats around the fans so it's no longer sharp? It's just
Use the what?
the lab coats.
Coats.
The
So
lab coats. Yeah.
So it's
Sure.
no longer,
Yeah, you
no longer any sharp blades. It's just so if it does
Excellent.
FUD to the next one.
You wrap up the blades, and they're now coated in these little tiny gnomish outfits. Okay. The next thing. Okay. Oh yeah. So, like I've mentioned, it's an assembly line. He's not the only little robot that's been put together here. On the other side of this, you start to see a robot's been like this whole time. The assembly line's been kind of working and mechanizing something, and it's finally completed it. And by the time you get to it, you finally see the finished product. A large metal ball suddenly rises, like lowers down from a crane onto the floor when Mr. Krabs gets closer. The ball is letting out little steam vents from its nostrils, like,
Uh,
Okay,
and
so
you see two little eyes kind of like glow, and they glow a red, and they start looking around the room, and then they lock on to you.
take out the ruby and throw it off to the side. See if it works like a normal ball and chases the red.
sure.
Oh, so quick. Well done. Well played. The metal ball immediately closes its eyes on it and rushes towards the ruby that you toss across the room.
It's just a mechanical dog.
Yeah, it was basically initially when you said it, I was picturing like the Robotnik boss fight at the like in the first thing where it's just like a metal ball being,
Yeah.
and then you said steam out the nostrils and then red eyes. I'm like, well, I'm using the ruby because it's the only red thing we've got that I know of.
That was good. All right. So Mr. Krabs defeats Mr. Bull, which means, lastly, okay, just as soon as that ball rushes off and slams into the wall, you can hear like pots, pans, and mechanical gears like getting broken up as the ball literally goes on a rampage through the china shop. The next thing that happens is flame vents suddenly erupt from the floor and creates an entire wall of fire, not unlike Llewellyn's wall of fire. And you notice that the Mr. Krabs is made up and comprised of bits of wood. It's usually its whole frame is comprised of it. You can see it.
Okay.
But its feet is
Its feet are kind of metal, but the flame vents rise up to the same height as a wall of fire. So,
and
it
how
drags on.
wide would you say it's the same as this?
I would say it's the same as this. Woo! Oh, it's all the way around.
Right.
Place couple.
The fan we have, which needs a battery according to what your thing says. Does the missing slot, would the large crystal that is sparkling lightly fit in that slot?
Oh, very, very clever that. Let's have a look.
And if not, we picked up as. Oh wait, we can't make any things over.
A
Yeah.
whirly fan. Okay.
Because I'm thinking if it's a fan, maybe it might. Because I think you can disperse wall of fire with enough wind, or I might be mistaken, but there's an idea.
Try it.
Okay. And the sparkling gem that I mentioned is similar to the ones kind of like there's a silvery luster to it, and as you look for a way to fit it in the side, the crab's kind of like very carefully handling this crystal and is trying to like slot it in, and it does seem to fit just barely. There's a little bit of like twisting to try and slot it, but it does eventually fit into the fan.
And the fan, does the fan start up?
Yes, the large bladed fan begins.
And does it blow the fire away?
It does start to blow the fire, and it is pushing it. It's pushing it like backwards and down. It doesn't seem as tall as it was, but the fire isn't extinguishing. It's sort of just being blown down and flattened.
Yeah.
What if we just put another panel over the top of this lesser fire? It's got metal soles, so it should be able to just go over the top of it. Assumably. Or do you think we should do more than that?
How the lab table we have? What's that made of?
Oh, that's made of wood as well.
Damn. Okay.
All right, is it
We-
rolling lab table with some metal beakers?
To be-
Yeah, some parts of it are like metal, but like it's not full metal.
be
It's comprised of both.
I've only just noticed this, but there is a sink. We could go back and get more buckets of water.
You have buckets, yeah.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
As painful as that is, again, go back, get buckets
Okay,
of
all right.
water, and then he
Because
comes
you're
back.
You have a sink.
Yep, fill up the buckets of water, go back, throw the water over the very low fire area that we created.
Yeah. It does feel like a huge amount of water would be needed, but filling up all these buckets, and with the fan still kind of like whirring it. It does seem like you don't have to worry about dousing the entire thing. As you actually extinguish just a section of it, you start to see the fan sort of blow away the steam and clear a path right in front of you.
Yeah, just enough to get through without setting the light.
Yes, I'll say that. You can do that now.
Okay.
Mr. Krabs.
Oops. There we go. All right. It's just large enough, and the fan kind of fanning it down means that the flames don't wrap up and onto the kind of wooden frame as well. All right.
Yeah.
You've made it almost all the way to the very end, except there's suddenly, once the fire has been kind of cleared, you see that there are two strange towers that extend all the way to the ceiling. And, well, how to describe strange? Let me give you a picture.
I mean, you say that we see this, but well, I might see this, but we're stood all the way over here.
Yeah, that's true. You should be able to see it, like, on the map, though, right? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, we've got. Unless there's anything in the way, we've technically got a clear viewpoint there. We might not have. And with your eyesight, like, to be honest, you can probably pick out the individual bricks on it.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, with your eyesight, you also recognize these kind of towers. A long, long time ago, in a hut far, far away, you came across these towers in the halls of reanimation.
Oh no, they're Tesla coils.
They are indeed. Oh, crap. I'm trying to get a picture of them. It doesn't look like we've got any. But yes, they're effectively a long, thin tower, and there's metal rungs all the way down that get larger and larger towards the base.
So if he goes anywhere near it, it's gonna electrify.
Okay.
We need something metal to chuck near it away to sort of have it the coil focus down on something. So we're gonna have to sacrifice some metal things.
Are the rubber gloves big enough for the robot?
One glove could fit over like one half of a pincer.
Okay, so if we and how you said these like quite thin things, right? Do they look breakable?
Potentially, they do look like they're made of a thin kind of like copper unlike the other parts of this room that are very sturdy and bolted, these look to be like, a more malleable, perhaps, looking metal. Like copper wires and so. I mean, I think Llewellyn uses, well, has heard of like components for like copper wires and certain spells before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His,
I would say they're not as sturdy looking as anything else in the room. Sure.
So
What-
maybe if we rubberized ourselves, technically we're insulated, so then could try to break them.
are we not trying to get past the Tesla coils?
Yeah, but if we break them, they're no longer a threat.
Yeah, but it'll still go for the metal pieces on us. I was thinking, what if we turn Mr. Krabs into a ghost? Like, there are six stacks of tablecloth.
Love how me and Chris had the exact same look then. It's just like,
What if
huh?
we put the table?
We
put the
cover him in the tablecloths.
Yeah, so it's covering him, so there's no metal exposed, and then have him walk past it.
Okay. You're asking me.
Well, I'm asking James as well.
I'm not sure that would work. Technically, no, we don't have any more salt, do we?
We-
No more salt.
We could as well, for extra, chuck 2 of the buckets off to either side, so the electric is going, like, already distracted. Basically, it's already centered on other things, and then use the rubber gloves to try and break the Tesla coils, if it's that much of a worry, while covered in the tablecloths, just in case, for maximum protection with what we've got.
That bull, is it still sort of charging about, or has it stopped?
I guess it's now found the ruby at this point. So it's not charging around anymore. It's likely found the ruby and stomped on it, shattering it.
Oh god.
That's a shame.
But it is no longer in your way, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think we should start off with throwing the buckets and seeing what happens.
Throwing out the buckets.
Like one bucket this way,
Okay.
Throw one bucket one way,
and see what.
uncovered, and throw the other bucket the other way, wrapped in a tablecloth. See if it
Experiment.
doesn't get zapped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that, yeah.
Rip Dip also speaks up because he's not been a contributor this whole time. He goes, "Oh, we catch fish like this. We get bucket, tie rope, throw in river, catch fish."
Yeah, we'll tie a rope as well to the bucket so we can get them back.
There you go. All right, so you tie the ropes up to the buckets, you toss them out, and immediately both of them are zapped by electricity that sparks off the Tesla coils. Yeah.
Right. If we now throw a third bucket tied to a rope, because we have 4,
Yeah.
does that one get zapped?
As well.
The one in the middle, there are sparks hitting the metal buckets to either side, and I'll say that there's tiny little tendrils of lightning that reach out to the middle. They don't get all the way to the bucket, but they do seem to come out to about 5 foot each.
Okay.
So
So
where did we throw the buckets on this side, or
Yeah, I think we
why
throw.
would we throw them on the other side?
Yeah, I think we throw one on either side this way, and then just in case, as close to it as possible, one here and one here, and then we have it through. Because then any that it tries to go through the middle will be redirected to the buckets.
Yes.
Any small amount.
All right. Just
That's
for
what we
safety, you've used all 4 of these metal buckets. You've created sort of like a lightning rod, and you see the lightning surging and still sparking at the buckets, but there's no tendrils crossing the path all the way.
Do you think
Right, let's try to walk through.
Okay.
tablecloth bother.
tenaciously step through with the. You can see like everyone's huddled around the control panel. Even Rip is like, and like as you push forward on the lever, Mr. Krabs 1 foot, 2 foot. There's a small amount of sparking as he seems to like try to reach some larger metal object, but the metal buckets in front seem to take the brunt of the electricity, and Mr. Krabs makes it all the way towards the control panel lever. You're about, I'll say, just just about 10 foot away from it, and you're just about to get towards it when you suddenly see something. The metal vault in front of you begins opening, and as the door rises, a huge metallic dragon begins stomping its way out, tail swooshing around. These metallic wings don't look like they're made for flight, but nonetheless they seem to go up and down on big, like, cogs and hinges. And you can see it's slightly glowing as well, all over. There's this silvery hue to the creature as the dragon begins. Actually, doesn't seem to make a noise as it comes through. Like, you don't see the ground sort of shaking or anything, but the dragon seems to push forward towards Mr. Krabs. What do you do, Mr. Krabs?
Yeah.
There's
Use a,
potential that you could try and get to the
yeah,
level.
pulling out a panel, because we still have 4.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a shield and move towards the lever, I guess.
And as an additional thing, wind up the little small one to see if that can distract it.
A little scorpion. Yeah. All right.
Maybe cover in a bit of tablecloth so it looks like a ghost. Full of elements.
Spooky ghost. Okay. So you quickly wind up the little scorpion and let it loose with a tablecloth over the top of it. The dragon does not seem to take any notice of the little scorpion whatsoever, I'm afraid. As it scuttles across the floor like. The dragon doesn't even look. Its eyes don't even look across to it.
Can we is the panel bigger than the Mr. Krabs? Or as big?
The panel, it's going to be slightly smaller, I think.
What about if we have two panels? Can we like Metal Gear Solid this?
Just
Just
well,
like
it's staring directly
okay,
towards.
okay. What if we throw a tablecloth over the dragon's head so he can't see?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Have you still got a tablecloth?
Well, there were 6 of them and we've only
Oh,
used 2.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
All right,
technically
then.
there's a stack of 6, so by Minecraft terms, that's
Oh.
enough tablecloths to...
Actually, no. If we have the time, we pull one of the buckets back, attach the tablecloth to the other end of the rope, and throw the tablecloth with the bucket so it wraps around the neck and keeps it attached.
Dragon had a Santa hat on. Anyway, okay, cool. All right. You attempt
Ooh.
this as quickly as possible before the dragon
Did you-
strikes at you.
Did you say it was coming towards us?
It is, and as you just about manage to get this together and toss the bucket towards it, you see the dragon's jaw open up. You see a bright light beginning to emanate in it, almost like it's powering up some sort of laser beam. And as the bucket tosses towards its head, the bucket passes straight through the dragon.
Oh, it's an illusion.
And the whole image of the dragon shimmers slightly, and you see beyond the vault door there seems to be this little conical light emanating from something, shining towards the dragon. Yep.
I'm
Let's
not
just-
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I'm quite disappointed because I thought that was a solid plan and I was ready to leave that dragon.
It was a solid plan. You revealed that it was an illusion by physically interacting with it.
my next bit of the plan, I was wondering whether it was possible that might be the case. So when you were saying like it's flapping its wings but it's not flying, I was like, what?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's an odd one.
The only other thing I was thinking is we go back, it follows us, we pull the buckets away, it gets zapped.
That could be an interesting. Like if it was a real dragon, that would have probably been a really good strategy.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, it was all just a last little test. Seems like these gnomes like to troll you.
Do we,
But
do we save the
Rip
prince?
Dip's like, oh, we get it. It was just fake. Oh, okay, well, that's good.
Okay.
So what's the thing on the other side, Joe?
I don't know, pull the lever on the control panel, press the button or whatever's on it.
Oh, the lever, crunk.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Wrong lever!
Does it actually say self-destruct sequence?
We were muted, but literally we both did that as well.
So what you do see is a metal disc in the wall above your heads. Suddenly, like it's like an iris of metal blades. Suddenly, shing, open up, and it's perfectly circular. And you wait for something, and nothing seems to be happening. On the other side of the wall, on the other side of the chamber where the robots pulled the lever, and the vault doors have opened, there is also a similarly circular hole at the top, and that goes shing, and opens up. But nothing seems to be happening. It looks to me like, as you like carefully look at the hole, and perhaps like a kind of glass-like lens, you can just about see the shimmer of it from the flames.
So it's almost like a periscope. Is that the sort of thing you're going for?
That's right. There's one on one side of the wall of the chamber, and another on the other side of the chamber.
It's just a lens. It's not an insert or anything.
No, there's no like. Doesn't look like there's anywhere you fit a gem or something. It's just like a glass lens that's opened up.
Are we gonna like make it to see each other?
Chris,
Yeah.
is this the bit of the puzzle that's linked to their puzzle, by any chance?
Who knows? Either way, there is a chamber on like ahead of us, but
We need to somehow get over there.
you try to go over there and you suddenly dunk walk into the magical barrier, and Rip Dip laughs at you.
Wait, who did that?
You try to go over the chamber wall, right? There's still a magical barrier in front of
no.
it.
What? One over here?
Oh, the other side. You go over the other side.
No,
Trying
no,
to
no.
move the robot,
I said we need to somehow get over there.
Okay.
but no magic.
Walk into a magical barrier? God.
So this vault door is closed, right?
No, the vault door's opened now.
But is there any more levers or anything to bring down this barrier?
You kind of press around, prodding a few things.
On this one over here, I mean. Or was
Oh,
it
yeah,
just,
yeah, the robot, yeah. Okay.
just a
Sure,
single
you
lever?
just start pressing all the buttons and stuff. Eventually, you're gonna like press around enough times, and you start to see the robot is slowly dimming out, and do
Send him through the doorway?
leans. It leans forward on one last lever,
Oh, okay.
and as it does, it kind of like fixes into place, and Mr. Krabs finally goes to sleep as it leans forward on the lever, like. You do see the magical barrier disappear, like disperse, and turn off.
Okay, so then we'll just go across, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's like literally none of these traps will stop me.
None,
I love
there wouldn't be a challenge if it was just you guys going across, would it?
Yeah. They might affect the Vellum, but they definitely don't affect me. I can even Tesla and be like, half damage.
Right.
Yeah, I love how, like, 2 episodes ago, Chris was like, maybe a 3-part puzzle is too much. Puts us against like a 10-part puzzle.
Hey, you didn't blunder in one part of this though.
And I think we solved a couple of bits in ways you weren't expecting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's enough random bits in there for like anyone to come up with their own solution.
Yeah.
I still want to know what the keys are for.
So do I,
We can go get them.
because I have no clue.
Yeah, so,
Sometimes you just got to throw a key in there, and sometimes it acts as a red herring when actually you had all the keys you needed. You know what I mean?
so yeah,
I mean, I suppose if you wanted to, you could have it so the little silver ones used for the winding up of the thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
So-
true.
I'll jump on the glaive with you. Sunan will carry Rip Dip,
Okay.
and we'll have him like remove the acid and the fire as we go along. You know, jets of
Sure.
just to make it safer,
Yeah.
and we'll just we'll
Alright.
get across.
You fly over, avoiding all the obstacles, no problem. And you do see a long corridor. It's pitch black though. You can't see anything in this place unless you've got some sort of source of light. The flame vents do give off a dull, dim light, but it doesn't seem to reach down this corridor. And all the way, you're seeing these archways, and at the top of the archway is more of these lenses.
Yeah. Is along the way? Is there anything worth like? Do we notice anything worth taking?
Yeah, you do see a couple of, well, obviously in this workshop, there's tons of bits and doodads, and Rip Dip's kind of picking through them, like rusty, and he's
Yeah.
collecting any kind of knickknacks that you haven't picked up.
Does your detect magic get anything?
Oh, right. Have you still got that up?
Curious.
Well, yeah, that would probably still be up.
Okay, then. Sure. Then,
across it.
in that case, guess we better give you some loot, hadn't we? God damn it. Forgot about this part.
There's always a this part.
Well, say you pick up a few strange glowing tools. No time to identify them now, but
I'll just give them to Llewellyn to hold. He's the magic item guy.
yeah.
Yeah, just I'm guessing you'll want to do this another time. That's
There's all
fine.
kinds of like cogs, coils, and springs. But for now, you kind of collect as many glowing ones as you can spot. But we
Two
will
box of magic rusties. I'll just put
magic
that down.
rusties, yeah.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, that's another time thing. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right then. So, do you continue down this incredibly dark corridor? That's the question.
Well, you said there was dim light from the fire, which gives us dark vision up to 60 feet.
Okay, so you do keep seeing your way, and it is just a straight path. But it feels like there should be some source of light down here. You wouldn't have workers. I mean, health and safety, for goodness sake. You can't just have people tripping over in corridors. But again, there's no source of light except for these lenses above the archways that continue down. And you realize at this point, as you're looking back behind you, all the lenses seem to line up perfectly.
Almost like light is supposed to be going through them.
And with that, we'll jump back to the other. In fact, it's in a weird way at the same time, both of you guys, but I'll explain in a second.
Shall we take a quick break?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Oh yeah, let's take a quick break. That's a great time to have a break.
I need
Cool.
bathroom.
Alrighty, see you in about 5 minutes. We're gonna go grab a drink, refill on Rusty's.
Yep.
Okay. Alright.
Catch
Charge
you
up
in a bit.
Mr. Krabs.
Right, back in 5.
Yep.
Mr. Krabs.
All right, we're back. Now, both sides having completed their puzzles and well, not fully completed. There still seems to be a missing light source from side of the moon. However, they have got the way open to them, and so they plunder deeper into the depths of the Shrine of Sun and Moon. For the others, there is an illumination that's giving off these kind of motes of light that seem to fill this chamber ahead of you. And in front, there's a golden reflection of some sort of brass metallic ring, and you can see that that's attached to a huge pedestal, like fixed into the floor. It has another metal hole going through that, and then another, a huge ring kind of arcing over that as well. It's like a strange contraption you've never really witnessed before, or have you? There's something slightly familiar about it. One of the metal rings seems to be that of the same thing that you discovered outside, way back.
Well, the one we found in the ocean.
Right, but this one is pristine. It seems to be fully intact, with all the symbols beautifully etched into the actual material. I'm going to drag you on to the map, and this is the same for the same for you guys on the other side. What I've just described is exactly the same, except you're kind of wading through shallow water right now, and you've seen this huge metal contraption of sorts with depictions of the moon and the sun around the outer edge. And on the other side of this, there is an archway, and there looks to be a huge door of sorts. It's a massive vault door again, but it seems to be a different design. Rather than mechanical and cog-like, it seems to have roots and vines stretched all across. These huge arms like gripping onto each other, forming a lattice work of branches. And for you guys on the sun side, there is absolutely a mechanical door with cogs and such, but that's closed off.
We're not in the same room, right? We can't see each other.
You don't see each other, but I have described exactly the same thing for you guys.
Okay.
Can I sense Taklo's presence?
Roll me a wisdom check.
Oh, can I sense Egbert?
Yes, Egbert is with you.
Why wisdom?
Pat the egg.
What did you get?
16.
Okay. There is a moment when you reach that 100-foot radius when you kind of have a ping, kind of notifying you that you can feel Taklo's presence, but as you're like, oh, Taklo's nearby, and you try to like sense into it, there's nothing. Either way, maybe he just swooped past and he's gone again.
Okay.
But it felt like he was in range, and then as you try to see through his senses, you get nothing, no reception.
Okay.
Oh, here's an interesting thing.
Oh, there is an. Yes,
I've got
go
my
on.
have I got my raven with me?
Your raven.
Because I did bamf it back to me when I needed it to try and find the temple.
Oh, okay, then yes.
Okay. Can I go up to the door
Yes.
and bamf it on the other side of the door?
Okay, sure.
It doesn't say I have to see. It just says an unoccupied space, 30, up to 30 feet away. And then
Yeah, you see the same chamber that I described for the sun side.
and can I look through it?
You see archways which extend all the way to a chamber that currently is unoccupied, full of trees and roots. It's very dark in here as well. There's no sun illuminating the mirrors, so it's pitch black. So your bird kind of gets lost in the darkness at this point. There's one last detail to mention on this room, and it's kind of glaringly obvious, so should have mentioned it at the very beginning, but there's a set of stairs towards the south side of the room, and at the top of these stairs there is almost like a stage of sorts, and you don't perhaps realize it at first because it appears as though it's perhaps a beautiful mosaic, a mural of sorts, across the entire wall. But upon closer inspection, you notice there is a seam, a bevel, in the center of the mosaic, and it goes from ceiling to floor. The mosaic is of a sun and moon kind of conjoined together in this sort of swirling spiral. And you see rays of sun kind of bend and become the curvature of the moon. It's like this beautiful, mesmerizing piece. You can definitely see there is elven design in a lot of the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
But
And in
there's also designs of like more mechanical and there looks to be like different types of tools used in crafting this. It doesn't look like it's all just been made by hand.
So, in terms of the time difference, because they're probably about 8 hours ahead of us, the other chamber looks empty.
Yeah, that's right. Completely empty and dark, pitch black.
Huh. I just say, okay, is this another room over there that looks like this, but vines and fruits?
Looking through, I I hear this and just go, and then you said there was like a seam in the mosaic sort of thing, right?
In the mural. Yeah.
If I put my eye up to it, can I see anything through that seam, or is it like a really like?
You see that it is. It doesn't have like a passage through to the other side, but it does seem closed off. But there is a groove where the doors clearly come together, and you realize that the mural is 2 doors that have kind of shut together.
I tried pushing on it.
It is solid as a
Roll
well,
a
solid
sleight
as a
of
wall.
hand check.
But as you're pushing it, you notice on the floor, Carius, that there is a slight arc in the floor, scrapes
So
that
it looks
depict.
like it's a pull rather than a push.
They look like they perhaps open up, towards you.
But there's nowhere to grip.
No handle, no nothing. As you're looking over the mosaic closer, in the center, where the sun and moon sort of spiral together, there is another glassy tint to the center. It looks like another lens. Excuse me. And there is also similarly a lens in the center of this huge device as well. And at this point, the sigil leaf turns to the others and says, "Behold, this is the artifact of the sun. The one I spoke of is in these halls that we give our prayers to Helios,
I
that
see.
we might have the light guide us."
I just kind of like look around the room and see there's a linking chamber.
You're a bit quiet, Cam.
Oh, yeah. So trying to get the perfect mix between my voice and fan. We're good.
Yeah.
There we
This
go. Try
doorway here is blocked up by a mechanical vault-looking door.
Okay. And does this lead to anywhere in particular? Are you able to open this door?
I have never been through that door. He comes over and inspects it a little bit closer. And you see on the vault there is a crescent moon, very clearly depicted in the center of a cog. It says, "This has nothing to do with the sun, though."
However, it could be exactly what I'm looking for.
Sorry?
However, it could be something that I'm looking for.
If you say so.
Um, let's take a look. With this vault, was there any kind of lock? I'm assuming there's a seam, because
Yeah, you can see a clear distinguishing difference between the stonework that surrounds it and the mechanical nature of the door itself, like metal versus stone. So it's very clearly defined as a door amongst everything else here. And Andy, as you approach it, you feel a slight hum and a slight dim glow seems to push its way out from your bag.
I mean, she's climbed on top of the big doohickey on
Yes.
the roof.
As best as you tried to like hide it in your belongings, it does seem to be somewhat showing over the, and the light's just a faint silvery glow from your bag.
Okay. Guys, my bag is glowing.
what
Does
do
it
you
do
mean?
that often?
I think it's that shiny thing I picked up.
What shiny thing?
The shiny thing from outside the temple.
May
The
I
one
see?
that makes the cloak
Huh. May I take a look?
go. She clambers all the way back down. Sorry, my internet's got a bit glitchy. There you go.
Okay. So as Andy, you're pulling out the orb from your bag,
Mm-hmm.
as once again touching it seems to result in your cape exploding with colors. Well, not colors, but sparkling starlight. And yeah, as you hand it over to Kashan, though, the sparkling seems to suddenly cut, like just suddenly blanks out.
Interesting. I'll bring it back, and I'll take a look towards the door. You said there was almost like a crescent moon.
There is, yeah.
If I
It seems
hold,
to be like an etching, though.
if I hold the orb up towards it.
There is a slight, very slight glow. Maybe it's the reflection, though. You can't really tell because the orb is giving off some silvery glowing, though it might just be the reflection from the door as you're holding it up to it.
Okay.
The crescent moon does seem to be comprised of like a shinier, polished metal.
Maybe if
Something like
Andy
that.
holds it and you hold Andy, the light from her cloak will be like.
I'm just getting carried everywhere today.
Any complaints?
That could work.
No, sinks my feet.
I'm just thinking perhaps. Did it look like it started to get brighter as I moved it over?
Not brighter, but the door gives off a reflection of it. Like the silvery metal that comprised of that crescent moon seems to shine with a similar light.
Okay.
Yeah.
The sunlight they have, has it projected into this room so it's almost like focused on this thing?
There is no light shining into this room. No light whatsoever. You're walking around blind unless you have a light source.
What about the light that came through?
On their
For
side.
no, for them, there's no light.
No.
Oh
coming.
no,
meant
for
on the
us,
sun
for
side.
us.
For you, it's illuminated with motes of light. You can see dust particles in the air. It's so bright in here.
But is there still a beam of light firing through mirrors?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The light is still coming through the mirrors for you guys, and it hits this central device, and you see that there is a huge lens on it, but the light doesn't seem to be reflecting anywhere in particular. It seems to be like almost absorbing the light, if anything. A lens that doesn't focus it, but rather absorbs it in a strange sense. See
Okay.
this like central thing in the middle. It's like striking that.
Does this contraption move? Are you
You look
able to
around.
control this?
I have not moved it myself for fear that we damage it. It is old and ancient, after all. As old as myself, perhaps. Maybe older. As you look around, it does look like there are perhaps bits that twist and turn.
Well, perhaps you need somebody with a bit of initiative to take the first step.
All right, roll initiative.
I'm going to try and find either a lever or something that could try and find a bit that kind of wobbles a bit more than the rest and try and do process of elimination, like if I follow it down, does it connect something?
Careful. He sees you like clambering all over it, climbing it like a cat would, and looking for bits that turn and twist.
It's perfectly fine. I'm light as a feather, and if I don't find anything at the top, I jump off and just slow fall down.
Okay. Whilst Kashan is jumping around and climbing, some surfaces are really smooth as well, so as you try to climb, your like claws are like scraping against it. You don't seem to find any particular moving parts like that are loose enough right now, but you do feel like there is a shift slightly. But Andy, I think you've been given back the orb, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe so.
So as you're holding the orb, it does glow brighter. almost like what Shashan was expecting it to, but it doesn't seem to do it in his hands. In yours, it seems to be reacting again with your cloak. Lights flaring up this time, almost as bright as the sun that's flooding through that tunnel. And they're just sparkling continuously. It's like a little light show for everyone here.
She does a little 12.
As you do that 12, you suddenly feel lighter and thinner, and almost as if this world sort of fades slightly. And then
Uh-oh, she 12 the other way.
you twirl back and suddenly feel heavier, and then your feet plant on the ground. You didn't even realize you was floating, but it felt like it for just a moment.
I don't know if I like this orb.
What happened? Kashan says from up top.
It made me skinnier, and I'm already skinny enough.
Wait.
What do you mean?
I felt thinner. I felt lighter. I don't need to be lighter.
Kashan hops down. Do it again,
She does it
please.
again.
You twirl once more, and you see Andy's form just for a moment go slightly translucent. Almost as if the lights from the cape are blinding your vision of her.
Do you still see me?
I'm guessing I can still see him.
You can, but there is a weird sort of shimmer that slightly happened to him. It goes there for just a moment. It's almost like Kashan gets really, really far away as well. Like he sort of goes into the vanishing point and then suddenly snaps back once you stop spinning. Or
I
stop
don't
your
know
little
if I
twirl.
like this. It's really trippy.
Oh man, trying to piece this together.
Has Andy ever used the other
Yes.
character? Is it a similar feeling to that? when
Sorry,
she's
wait. I may have
actually
jumped the gun. What was your Sorry, what was your question? Has she
What-
ever used
the other ability? Because Cloak
Yeah.
obviously has the, and then it has the ghostly form thing.
That's right. I think, Andy, you experimented with this effect in Datan's mansion. Do you remember?
Briefly. Yeah.
That's right. It was brief, but you did realize that there is another property to this cape that you've yet to really
You
delve
did also
deeper into.
use it on the boat.
Yeah, it's like going into the ethereal. Yeah, that bit. Or is
Yeah.
it something else you're thinking of?
Well, we'll find out if you use it.
Is this twirling giving her a similar feeling when she used the ability?
Yeah, you remember feeling light as a feather when you were in that realm. You remember everything feeling far away, like you wasn't actually in the material anymore.
Okay, let's try this. She's still got the ball in her hand. She currently feels light as a feather. What happens if I try and go towards the wall?
Whilst,
This connecting door wall thingy mabob.
yeah, whilst are you trying to actively use the cape as well as you do this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You think about moving towards the wall, and you don't want to knock yourself into it. You want to find a pathway. And as those thoughts and ideas about opening the door or finding a way through the door start to manifest, they begin to spark into possibilities, realities. And as you're blinking, the door fades and flickers with each blink until eventually the door is gone and you're staring into a starlit galaxy, a nebula sort of floating in the distance, a spinning colored disc way off in the distance as well to your right. All around you, as you look up and down, there is just you're like on a ledge of the blind eternities, the space between space,
Okay,
the
and out
astral
of
sea.
curiosity, what can the others see while I'm seeing all this trippy galaxy stuff?
As Andy is sort of stepped towards the ledge and on the threshold, everyone else sees the cloak has sort of enveloped Andy to not like it's like smothering her, but rather her texture, her skin, her hair has all sort of become the same texture as is the cape. So I'll just bring up a picture of it again, so that you can kind of get a real glance of it.
I am the galaxy.
Yeah, Andy kind of has a strange galaxy-like complexion. If she had freckles, they would be stars right now, but that's
Oh.
fabrication. So instead, yeah, her hair has become like a nebula, and yeah, her skin now sparkles. But it seems like as Andy takes a step forward, that the image of her is sort of becoming further and further away, like she herself is a star, a million billion light years away. And there's something else you see, Andy, and it's coming towards you very rapidly as you're staring directly towards the door. There is a light. At first, it's blinding and bright, but as your eyes adjust, it is now a kind of pale, silvery light, and you realize it is a moon floating and hovering there, and you can feel a cold sensation over your body as the rays kind of wash over you, and suddenly you feel a heat on your back, warming, then hotter, then burning. And
Does
it's
it feel like this
all over
heat is
your
trying
back.
to
Your
push
back
me
feels like it's on
away
fire.
almost?
Sorry, go on.
Does it feel like this heat is almost trying to eject me, in a sense?
Possibly, yes. But
Okay.
do you want to look around? Because whatever this is, it's blazing hot around behind you.
Yeah.
Okay,
She then hops on over.
all right. So you hop over the threshold. Andy's form completely disappears from sight. Perhaps because she passes through the door itself, or perhaps because she no longer exists here in this world. I'm not sure. Either way, the orb goes with her, and Andy is gone.
Andy? Andy! I look forward to your new character!
Does anything
Okay.
seem to be happening on our side? Does that?
On your side, no, not right now. Andy, you've passed into this beautiful starlit world, and as you try to turn around to perceive that blazing, well, just to see your friends, because the last thing you hear is Kishan saying Andy, and its voice suddenly echoes into the distance as if pulled away, and behind you is no longer a flat plain with stone walls and that strange device. Instead, you see a blazing hot sun burning down, and it's not pushing you, but it is there, a presence roaring with heat. And in
Okay.
front of you is the moon,
I
and you
guess
seem to be standing in between. Sorry.
I will kind of, I don't know. I'm guessing she doesn't know whether she can walk right now or she has to swim or whatever towards the moon.
As these ideas of walking and swimming come to you, you just feel yourself by your own will being propelled forward.
Just get yanked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As your thinking go forward, your presence in the world, or lack of worlds, begins to propel you. Yeah, it's you're feeling like as you potentially think that you could think of a road that goes anywhere.
I can just see it as like she's thinking, okay, how do I move, and then her cloak just kind of yanks her, and she's like, whoa, okay.
It's like the cape from Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Oh no!
exactly.
It's going to try and wipe away all your tears.
Yep.
Yeah, she'll just head towards the moon, I suppose.
Okay. As you begin traversing this place, you start to realize this is where you are when you aren't anywhere else. This is the starlit heavens between space. Or is it heaven? Because in some places you can see rolling chaos. You can see psychic winds kind of billowing through the nebulas, like blowing and dispersing them. This is a place of beauty, possibility, but also a place of unmaking and, well, roiling substance of matter, perhaps. Either way, it feels like nothing you've ever felt before. It doesn't feel like you're even aging. It's strange to not feel your age, but it's strange. You feel like you're stuck and suspended in this place as you move forward. Your cape begins to billow in one direction as a wind catches it, but your hair is billowing in the other, and that's trippy just to begin with. There are pools of different colors in the distance, and they seem to be like spinning slightly. They don't have a 3 dimensions to it. There is just like a window, an overall looking window into perhaps other worlds. One is a brilliant bright amber. Another one is this blackish swirling purple. And as you kind of concentrate on the moon and it's your destination, you are again pulled closer and closer as the wind catches the cape and yanks you towards it. And all the while, although you're moving in a space, it doesn't feel like physically you've gone anywhere. You don't feel the exhaustion of walking. You don't even feel the exhaustion of thinking. It's like you've moved, but yet haven't moved. It's so strange to feel this, but there's no weight to you, so why would there be any exhaustion? And as you kind of come closer and closer towards the moon, you feel that the orb is kind of becoming one and the same as the moon. As you look down to the orb in your hands, you realize you're holding that same moon that you've moved towards. I know that sounds very strange and vague. As you look up towards where the moon was, you realize you're actually just staring at the moon that you're holding in your hand.
Okay. I guess she just kind of concentrates on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it obviously knows where it needs to be, in a sense, or at least I guess that's what she's feeling.
Yeah. In your own mind, you tried to explain logically what just happened. Maybe you grew in size and you've just grabbed a hold of the moon in your 2 hands. Maybe the moon shrunk down, but it seems like that moon is now the same thing that you're holding. It is where it belongs. It is where it should be, and you're holding onto it as like an anchor. And what would you like to do? The cape begins to stop billowing. It seems to like go loose around you. The starlights have gone to a faint twinkling.
I suppose if that's the case, because you say that she obviously hasn't had to make any effort or so far to do it. She's obviously still in this place, but she came into it, stepping into it, so she's almost going to try and step out. Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, trying to maybe retrace your steps, like just stepping off of something, like stepping off a train at the station. You haven't moved, and yet the train has. And so
it's like when you're walking the opposite way on the train, so the train is moving below you and you're going the other way of the train.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of understanding it. Okay, as you step off, the cape kind of wraps around you as you're stepping backwards. The cape kind of billows forward, and as it does, that you see the starlights on it flicker, and suddenly all the whole world around you collapses into your cape, like it's just folded like a piece of paper into your material of the cloth. And suddenly, behind you, Carius, the Velen, there is a flare of light that hasn't been there this whole time as Andy steps backwards from the door that you've just come from.
I imagine she'd trip over because, of course, suddenly solid
Yeah,
floor.
Rip just,
Woo! Just falls on the floor.
Watch where you're going.
Carius
sudden-
has like his glaive out ready as some bright flash of light. It's like,
And
oh,
The clumsy one.
sudden darkness the moment the light goes out. I believe Andy. Can Andy see in the dark? Have you got dark vision?
No.
No.
Hello?
There's a little faint glow from the orb that she's holding, but it's very faint. You do hear the voices of Llewellyn and Carrier.
Andy?
Llewellyn? Carius?
how did you get here?
Did you follow us?
I didn't follow you. I just you know what? It's not exactly easy to explain.
Then
was-
don't
it was-
try. This Carius.
I just have this shiny old thing that I found, and we were in a room that I don't know. I can't see very well, but it kind of looked like this room, I think.
You brought
But
us.
yeah, I just
You brought. Wait. Carius walks over and looks at the orb.
Where did you get that?
it was just in the ground outside the Sun Temple.
Did miss one.
Well, then that means that no, we didn't miss one. They picked it up before we got there.
Hey,
Brain
wait,
aneurysm.
where's Kashan and
Andy!
Did you hear
Wow.
something?
Well,
is it?
however you got here,
Yeah.
I think you may have just brought us the thing we need to solve a puzzle on our side and possibly activate a giant killer robot.
Yeah.
Goody.
Um,
Great.
but I think
Mhm.
that based on how everything's been working in here so far, if we have that with the other three we've got, based on the design of this temple that we've seen so far, it's going to shine a light down to here, which might actually give us the ability to see a bit better in here, and might open one of these doors.
Yes.
So long as it doesn't involve mirrors, I will help.
No, it involves, well,
Lenses.
lenses. So, like,
No.
mirrors with two sides, if it helps.
Wait,
That's even worse. Double the amount.
what about mirrors? What?
Oh, the temple was just full of mirrors, and we had to move them to shine a light. So it shined down the corridor. I had to be a mirror because Kisham broke the mirror.
Yeah, and Taklo did manage to tell me something about you had a puzzle where all the letters were weird.
Do not get me started. I cannot read Elvish anyway, and I was sat there, bloody confused.
Right.
So
Well, it's lovely to see you.
yeah.
Would you like a mechanical scorpion?
Okay.
Yeah.
Scorpion.
Essentially, it seems what you were going through was the Temple of the Sun, and this is the other half. And that is some sort of moon orb that we need.
Right, let's go. Whilst it's lovely to see you, I kind of just want to get this puzzle sorted so that Kashan can do what he does and I can go warn my family of an impending dragon attack. So let's just take you where they need to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So,
Let's go do that.
so You saying
Alright.
you don't want my help?
No, we do want your help because I've only had to have Llewellyn's help, and you know.
Oh, look at that face.
You may want to rephrase that.
I'm sorry.
No, I think it was said exactly as intended.
And no offense meant him, but he likes to sit back a bit. We could do with a bit more firepower.
Okay.
I'll let you solve all the puzzles next time.
I've helped solve most of them. You just beat me to it on one of them because you
Really?
can actually read the language.
Anyway, we've been doing pretty well over here. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a water elemental soaking up some of the damage, pun intended.
Which reminds me, you really think this thing's going to activate once we put the orbs in?
Well, it's either going to activate or not. Otherwise, it's just kind of there. It could just be decoration, but it might be a killer robot that wants to squish us.
Yeah,
Well, I'm already had killer trees, so bring it on.
as we get back to the room, I'm going to do it again. I really don't trust that. Wait, is the robot gone?
Where's it gone?
Is it actually not there?
No, it's there. It's on the side. It's on the wrong way.
As I get back to the room, and they're going to start with the orbs. I'm going to do it again. Well, actually, I'm going to do all the rituals again that I need to do to be able to speak, and so Andy can speak to Rip Dip as well. And then we'll put the orbs in.
Okay. All right. So,
Right.
Andy, stepping into this room. There you go. There's everyone. You can all drag yourselves out here. You see, there is a pedestal. Sorry, there's 4 pedestals set around the room. In the walls at both the north, south, west, and east, there is a panel that's perfectly circular, and it seems to depict phases of the moon. In the center of the room, there's a pillar that goes all the way up, and there's a light shining down into the pillar, and it seems like the light is supposed to refract into these into these bulbs, but the bulbs are all dim and they're not glowing at all. Above you is a domed ceiling with starlit sky, just the same as your cloak, in fact. You see glittering stars blinking in and out.
Okay, out of curiosity, do the stars we see inside the building correlate to the pattern of the stars on my cloak?
Roll a perception check.
That's a damn fine question.
Yeah, you're rolling. Yeah, roll it.
21.
You're starting to because you've looked over your cloak many times, always in amazement and awe, and you actually recognize a pattern within it. You can have to turn, and you see Andy looking directly up, sort of spinning on the spot a moment before stopping, and then eyes going wide as a recognition sets in. There are constellations that you recognize that match your cloak.
Nice.
You all right there, Andy?
Look, it's the same! It's the same!
Oh,
Wait. That's cool.
yeah. I
Might
never
be important.
never took you for an astronomer.
What is astronomer? What is that?
Astronomy.
Astronomy.
Star.
Someone who likes to look up at the sky and pinpoint stars.
Doesn't everyone?
Yeah, but some people more than others.
Maybe my mother was a astronomy.
I love it. I love it.
I mean,
So,
to be honest,
It's hard to say
that's where
astronomy with their accent.
I'm like, I can't quite tell if you're doing that on purpose or
I'm
you
not.
literally
I'm
can't
not.
say it.
so all this has happened as have I got my my stuff ready?
Yep. You see Rip Dip, by the way, he's playing around with a Rusty right now, and he's not paying attention to anything that's going on. He's like, "Oh, Rusty, oh, it's on a pointy Rusty. Which
I
way?"
just sort of walk over to him and go, just don't touch it with your claws,
Oh,
Yep.
because you
Remember,
might break it.
I'm being careful. You see, he's like kind of trying to like not touch something. He's got like really long fingernails. Yeah, he's playing with this long, kind of strange device. And it's got like a handle. He's grabbed it by and he's swinging it around lopsidedly. Are you on the right map? You can see this, yeah?
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So you probably, maybe some of you recognize what it is. I don't know. I mean, out of game. You're just playing around with it, like Rusty, Rusty.
The design looks familiar, but I can't.
It's from Halo.
Yeah.
My hair's
Yeah.
It's like the Covenant like sniper rifle.
Yes, it is. It's the Covenant sniper rifle. He's exactly right. And he's
Can
just
I
like,
have a look at that?
he's just like looking down the barrel of it, like,
No, no.
It's got like two.
Like you have no idea what he's playing with. Yeah, you've
I'll-
got your own toy. You play with your own Rusty. And he
Right.
kind of- he gestures
so-
towards your
So-
orbs that you're.
Andy, how I think this puzzle should be solved, right? And why we needed your orb is I think we need to replace each of the orbs so that they're basically the opposite of what's on the wall. That makes sense?
I guess we can try.
So full moon goes to new moon.
Tell you what, I'll give you the option to move those so you can actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna zoom out a moment. So
Okay, you should be able
Also-
to click some of these as I'm doing them.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I was thinking
So
they're on the wrong. I've just sort of put them near because they're on a layer below whatever this is.
That one will go to that
Alright.
one, and I can't move that one. So
Yeah. Sort of position them near where they're gonna go.
well, they
okay,
go into
so
these
this
pedestals.
thing.
No, don't they replace the bulbs in here, wasn't it?
So they look too big to fit in the bulbs, but they are about the right size to fit.
Oh, okay.
So I'll take this one up here. Rip Dip, do you want to take the one up top over here?
Okay.
And we'll all put
Closest
'em
to
in-
the robot.
Yeah, we'll all put 'em
I
in
see what
the
you've
same
done there.
And maybe carriers who can fly might be better being
Yeah,
at the
I'll-
other one.
I'll
Yeah,
do this one, and then if Andy does that one, it's probably safest.
and you got rid of my elemental, by the way, Chris. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's gone, isn't he?
Yeah,
He
but I-
resummoned it.
Oh, you resummoned him. Okay, sorry, dragged
Yeah,
him back
yeah.
out.
That's what I was saying before we did
Oh,
anything
jeez.
else.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh god, I almost turned my character sheet into a water elemental.
My God. All right, so each of you kind of go to a pedestal. I see you've stolen Andy's one and given them the crescent one. That's fine. That's cool. But you place them on the pedestals and they're a perfect fit. They sit snug on the top in that small little bowl that you see, and nothing seems to happen. The light shining down hasn't yet reached the orbs. Really?
Right.
No, there's like the light's shining down, but it's not shining out. Does that make sense?
These bulbs, would the small one that we got from the cleaner fit in one of them, or is that too small?
It does seem to fit. The one that you found in the cleaner,
Yeah.
it does seem to fit, but it has kind of dull and dimmed out.
Yeah.
But it does seem to be a perfect fit.
Then the ones up in the sky, you
Mhm.
said, seem to be. When I went up there, they're similar bulbs, right?
That's right.
Maybe you can.
Alright, I'm gonna fly up there and go, Andy, which one of these matches your cloak?
She kind of like goes in the center as best as she can, and she'll almost take it off and lay it flat so Carius can see, and she'll point to where they are on the ceiling.
So I'll get I'll try to unscrew 4 bulbs that match a constellation on Andy's cloak.
Yep. How many level 12 adventurers does it take to unscrew a light bulb? Well,
And then I'll go down and screw them in place in these ones.
just one with a glaver flying. You unscrew the bulbs, and they do come free. And you see that there is similarly a moonstone glowing inside, giving off the same silvery light.
Yeah, so I'll go put those in place in these
Okay.
ones.
Arius comes over, unscrews these, places a light within the bulb, and immediately you start to see a flare of light shining from the central shaft into the bulb, and then protruding out and hitting the glassy orbs that you've been holding. And quite rightly, the one that hits, what is it? The one that hits Andy's, which is a full moon, then creates a shadow of, well, a completely dark moon, i.e. a new moon. The one that Llewellyn is holding, that's completely clear, the light shines straight through it and hits the wall, creating this illuminated ball depicting a full moon. And likewise, this crescent creates a gibbous moon. Sorry, no, the other way around. The gibbous moon creates a crescent moon, and the half moon is a half moon. And suddenly the robot activates and sacks everyone. No, it doesn't. You guys puzzle. So I can't take that away from you guys. You have solved it without having to deal with Mr. Krabs 2000. So well played for that, for the 9000. Some supermodel.
You made me with my elemental.
Yeah. As it hits this right here, the wall with the panel on it suddenly slots into the floor, and you see this panel behind it is actually a lens that suddenly opens up, like shing, an iris opens, and that enhances the moonlight shining through and becomes this solid silvery beam that shoots all the way down the corridor through those 2 lenses in the assembly line and hits the central chamber. Kishan and Irina. Suddenly, there is a tremor that shakes through the whole shrine. Dust sifts from the ceiling as this huge device begins activating. As you're jumping off the top, you do start to see the top is now tilting down and spinning, so that it forms like this crescent shape. And the top disc rotates around so that its lens connects with the other wall where the vault door is facing. And you're wondering what the heck's happening because you guys didn't do anything. You were just standing there. But nonetheless,
This time it was not me.
It
was not I either. Oh, it was not we.
There we go. Thank you.
All right. The light is so bright, and when it hits the lens, there's this strange reaction. Is it chemical? Is it magical? You're not sure. Either way, the light starts sparking, turning into electricity, perhaps. It goes this blue, then this yellow, then back to kind of like a magenta color, and it seems to be flashing in between. Though, let's have a look. You're unsure as to what is happening, but I will give you a depiction of what's happening on the map. So, reveal the final area.
Oh.
It's another boulder.
It's another puzzle. No, no more puzzles for you. Okay.
Oh wait, so I didn't see your section with the raven. I saw this section,
It's the same room.
but it's the same room 3 times over. But this
What if
one,
I call
a mix of both.
exactly? Dun, dun, dun.
Work that one out on your own, genius.
To be fair, I've left my raven there, so you might see it when you.
Oh
enter
god, yeah,
the
actually.
we
hold
do.
on. What's going on? I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about the raven.
So you might just see it.
Okay, let me reveal the full. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna get rid of dynamic lighting.
Yeah.
1 second. Get rid of that. Get rid of
Why
that.
is the fireworks
Bam.
going?
Ooh, colourful.
Ooh, indeed. Gotta see a party of 2.
I've
Alright,
seen better.
Joke.
Joke.
You do see the room now electrified.
Wow.
This thing looks like it's on crack now. It's exploding with energy, and you see spinning, whirling lights, spinning, zapping, some sort of magical reaction is occurring right now. And as this room fills with energy, looking at the clock. Why ended all right, we'll go on just 5 more minutes. The energy is just swirling at the moment, just a combined force of both light, both sun and moon. And at this point, the vault door suddenly shoots open, and this light is actually pouring through into it. And it's strange because that light coming through is like a silvery light, and although the light from your corridor should illuminate that corridor, it still remains in pitch black, except for that one beam of light that's coming through. Sorry, description is just all over the place. But
I'm guessing if we head back to R1, then the door on our side's opened as well.
Yeah,
yes, it absolutely is. However, you don't see the raven. I'm gonna say whatever's happening right now seems to be a conjoining of 2 beams of light, Kishan. But I'd like everyone to make me a perception check.
Okay.
Dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
It's a bit mad, doesn't it?
Very badly for me.
Very bad for you to
It's
say.
just too bright.
Fucking
It is-
gorgeous, though. Just
It
that
is damn
alone
bright.
is so cool.
Okay.
Kind of want to use my phone background, just that.
Okay, Irina is pretty good, and so is
And
Sean and Andy. Okay. So, Andy, you're definitely probably witnessing this because this is something similar to what happened in your vision. There was this blazing, hot, red sun, and then there was this pale, cold moon, and then you were standing in between the two. As you come into this room, there is that sensation again of being in the middle of the alignment, what's happening right now. The light that's shining through the sun side, is definitely what you witnessed when you was with Kashan and Andy. And Irina. But now the 2 lights have come together and they're forming some sort of magical mayhem in the center. And this rolling chaos seems to fight with one another like a tug of war, and you're feeling it rather than seeing it. So, Irina, you see the same thing. You can sort of see a pale moon all the way in the distance, as well as the roaring sun down the other corridor. But the sun for you is stronger, and it seems to be overpowering the moon. And for you, Andy, there's a tug of war happening right now. Both lights are trying to fight in this central device, spinning, clashing, this lightning is a conflict, and you can sense that.
What is this?
Oh, hi, Kashan.
The whole place is essentially about balance, right? And you said that the sun is stronger at the moment.
To you, it is, yes.
Okay. The devices that, like, are either side and obviously in the middle, you said something moved on the one that Andy and Kashan were sort of climbing all over. Does it
Yeah.
look like you can sort of tweak how much light is coming through it?
Possibly. Yes, possibly.
Because if we can even it out, that might be. Because it's all
That
about
could
balance,
work.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I,
It's a good synopsis
can I
of the
invest
situation.
to get my one to see if it's able to
And
turn, or to
the-
see if it's by time, or
There's one last thing you see with Andy's perception check, and that is a very faint outline of Kashan, Irina, and the sigil leaf. It's only very faint, and it seems to be when the sparking energy sort of arcs out, and then as it wraps back into the device, you just see a slight glimmer of them, like a faint outline. They're there. They're in this space, just not this time, perhaps.
Oh god, there's something
Yeah.
she would really love to try and do now.
Yeah,
She literally goes over to one of the horns, and she just tries to stick her hand through it.
Wait, stick your hand through what?
So any of the three who
Okay.
who were obviously on the other side, she'll be just like, okay, this is definitely not the same place. She just tries to stick her hand in
you
it
tried-
and see if it's actually
You
visible.
try to interact with him, your hand passes straight through it. But
Okay.
you know that they're there in another time, just you can't actually physically interact with them. And as you're trying to figure out how best to balance this overpowering sun, Lavellin, I'd like you, and anyone in fact, to make me an Arcana check as you're trying to figure that out.
okay.
Because
Okay.
you asked a question and sorry I interrupted it, but what was you going to ask, Jamie?
I wanted to see if it looked like or felt like maybe it was ticking or moving on our side.
Ticking or moving,
Like
like this
if
depicts
I'd,
some sort of time.
yeah, I'd start with seeing if I could try and move it, like push it. But then obviously with my hands on it, can I feel like it's moving in terms of time? Because obviously it's slightly similar to the compass I have.
It does feel like that, where there's three potential coordinates: space, time, etc. And you're trying to figure out which one represents which. And you can tell that there is one which has a what's it called? A phases of the moon, and there's another one that seems to be like depiction of the sun, like a sundial. And it's a strange device. You're not sure whether it depicts both, or like your compass, or one thing in particular. But there are dials and such that you could perhaps try to manipulate. But as you get close, this arcing lightning explodes and sparks as you see the two forces of these beams fighting with one another. And Irina, did you get 15 as well? Okay, looking for a way to balance this. Yeah, there is a possibility that you can maybe close the iris on one of the lenses as well, or try to shade some of the light from the sun. Failing that, you may even try like physically interact with the spinning discs that are now kind of spinning and twirling out of control at this point. As you're approaching though, and you realize this is not in balance, some of the lightning strikes off and lands into the water next to you, on the moon side at least. And the water suddenly starts bubbling and explodes outwards.
Oh,
Your water elemental says, I sense something. The water. Yes. It comes. Ready yourself.
moving out of the water.
Yeah.
Big are the lenses? Sorry,
How big are the
lenses.
the lenses? Are about the same size as you saw on the sun side. They're about 5 foot, five. About so about 5 foot radius.
Okay.
Okay. As you see these
The water elemental.
the lightning given form into the water, you do start to see something animate and emerge out of it, swirling with arcane energies. It suddenly bursts into a form that resembles like your water elemental, but it seems to be glowing with a pulsing light. And as you're trying to figure out what's ticking, there actually is almost like a very consistent pulsing to this creature, and the same pulse is happening with the device in the middle. As for you guys on the sun side, uh, those motes of light suddenly bounce around the room, and as they ricochet off of vines and plant matter that's sort of strung around, the moss growing overgrowing places, there's roots that have winded their way through the stonework. The motes of light bounce off of them and begin to animate the vines and the flowers. Yeah, I get to use those creatures after all. As for the other group, you don't see that, but you've both seen something either side, and that's where we're going to have to literally wait till next session, because that's going to be combat, and I know that takes a while, and I don't want to overshoot.
It's a good bit to start next episode.
Chaos given form, the struggle is now personified.
God, it's an astral elemental.
What?
I don't know. It's the first thing that came to mind when I think of chaos.
Yeah, I'll wait till afterwards, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till next time, but we're going to close the door on that one. Speaking of the door, both for both of you guys on either side, the mural is aglow with energy, with light from both sides. The pale silvery moon depiction is swirling and spiraling, and the heat, the fiery red hot heat of the sun is also giving off this red glow that's swirling and spiraling. The door seems to be shuddering, as if trying to open, but this, like you say, this chaos needs to be balanced. So we'll come back next week, see how the party fare. Everyone's spread around the room quite evenly as well, so it should be a good combat. We'll catch you then, but until then, we'll say thank you very much for watching, and stay safe. We'll be also live on Monday again with the Curse Breakers, because Sunday we're not streaming Sunday, taking a break. But we'll be back Monday with Curse Breakers, and then hopefully Team of Annihilation, the Last Resort Company again after that. So thank you again. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're gonna die.